radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. It is Squatch Week here on Fade to Black. Tonight is night 3. Let's do this, man. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and NX Networks. Race Hobbs. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? It's Squatch Week. Tonight is night 3. And we have very special guests. William Lunsford is with us. Very excited. And I always enjoy having a first-time guest on the show. We all know that. And tonight, William is with us. Tomorrow night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And there you go. Now, a week from yesterday, which is 6 days from now, Tuesday night, August 16th, I will be at UPARS here in Los Angeles, in Studio City. Visit uparsla.org for tickets and info. Get yourself RSVP'd. We have seating capacity of 200. It's going to sell out, so go and RSVP and get your name on that list. uparsla.org. All right. Now, also, right before showtime tonight, got a call from Brad Harris. Yeah, Brad Harris. Bucket list checkoff is going down on Friday, the day after tomorrow. Brad invited me out to Vandenberg Air Force Base to watch the SpaceX launch. Holy crap, right? And so that's going down Friday. I'm going to see if I can live stream it, and I'll let everybody know if I am going to be able to live stream. I'm assuming we can, but I don't know. It's Vandenberg, the belly of the beast, right? Maybe not. But anyway, if I can live stream, I am going to do that. The launch is going to be great. I have never attended a rocket launch before. So that is, seriously, that's a bucket list. That's a check right there. But here's the other thing. What about the landing, right? Am I going to be able to see that? Are they going to do it out to sea on a boat? Or are they going to land in front of us too as well? We'll be able to see that. And when you see the SpaceX launches, I watch as many of them as I can. The return trip, it's like a couple of minutes later, man. I mean, I think launches, a couple of minutes later, landing. So that's going to be great. And I hope we get to see that. Brad and I were talking about that today. Are we going to be able to see the landing? The landing is going to be as cool as the takeoff. So that's going down on Friday. And so there you go. September, I will be out in Joshua Tree for a private sky watch. If If you want to get in on that, you have to go to forbiddenclub.com and start minting some NFTs. I think you have to do 10 to get your black card. All right. And then get your invite. But that's going down September 16th. Get your free membership right now to the UNX Network. All you have to do is go to the unxnetwork.com and you're going to get everything. You're going to get the free monthly newsletter. You're going to get blog access. You're going to get event notices. I'm going to tell you right now, I get event notices of very cool things all week long from the UNX Network. You want to get on that list. All kinds of cool things. Right now, they're doing a crop circles event, and that is on the 13th. That's coming up in 3 days. So go right now and get yourself your free membership, unxnetwork.com. You'll also get the free digital copy of their quarterly magazine. All right. The new issue is all about time travel. So go and get registered for your free membership today. And right now, EdenPURE has extended their Thunderstorm 3-pack special. And this is the Thunderstorm right here. It's a little portable air purifier. It'll do up your entire living room. You know, it looks small, but it's extremely powerful. Plugs into the wall. It's also got USB. That's what I use here in the bunker, so I can move it around. I keep it next to me right here. It's quiet, smells great, kills viruses, purifies the air, and you can put one in your car, bathroom, kitchen, living room, bedroom. Right now, 3-pack special. You will save $200 on the 3-pack and get free shipping. You've got to get the Thunderstorm. Everybody, all of you Fadernauts, EdenPURE loves you guys. The promo code is Fader3. That's all you've got to do. Click on the link below. And I enjoy getting the email from you guys. God, my Thunderstorm, man. This thing is incredible. It is. It is. And it's the only way I can stand to go into my home gym. It's the only way I can go in there now. So get yours today. Click on the links below. And the promo code is Fader3. The links for everything, all of our sponsors here, all of the events, everything, the films that are in release, everything is in the description box below. All right, let's get to the breaking news. This is crazy. You got to go. Just go with it. Just go with it. Okay? Coca-Cola has just released their latest experimental limited time flavor. It's called, wait for it, Dream World. And it tastes like dreams, according to Coca-Cola. Coke says it's Coca-Cola, but it's got additional cues that bring to life the playfulness and the brightness of dreams. Say what? I got to give Kelly Sullivan Walden a phone call, ask her about this. Coke says, and I'm not joking, that they took inspiration from the Technicolor world of dreams, adding a dash of vibrant flavors to their great Coca-Cola taste. Okay. Dream World is the fourth drink to come out of Coca-Cola Creations, Coke's new innovation platform that focuses on limited time items with a digital component. You can taste your own Coke dreams here in the U.S. starting on August 15th. I know what you're thinking. Church, come on. This is satire. It's not. Let me know what you think. All right. Well, in the dark of Sunday night and Monday morning, August 7th and August 8th, a surprise solar storm slammed into Earth, showering our planet in a rapid stream of charged particles from the sun, resulting in the solar and terrestrial particles in Earth's atmosphere that caused stunning auroras to appear at much lower latitudes than usual. And in southern Canada, triggered a surprise cameo from the mysterious sky phenomenon called Steve. That's right. In southern Alberta, Canada, the ribbons of green and violet light shot through the sky for about 40 minutes. Steve, which is short for Strong Thermal Velocity Enhancement, is a long, thin line of hot gas that slices through the sky for hundreds of miles. The hot air inside Steve can blaze at more than 5,500 degrees Fahrenheit. You should see the pictures. Absolutely stunning and incredible. Steve. All right. A 37,000-year-old mammoth butchering site uncovered in New Mexico might be the earliest evidence of humans in North America. Some of the bones at the site show signs of being handled by humans or even being used as tools, which is some of the most conclusive evidence yet that humans settled in some parts of North America much earlier than experts previously thought. If the team is correct about the human activity at the site, it would almost double the amount of time humans have occupied North America. The new site was discovered on the Colorado Plateau in northern New Mexico after hiker Gary Hartley spotted a chunk of tusk protruded from the surface. Researchers named the site the Hartley Mammoth Locality in his honor. Now, until the early 2000s, archaeological evidence has suggested that the Clovis people were the first humans in North America, arriving here around 13,000 years ago. Absolutely incredible. Well, you remember when this was reported, the first launch of North Korea's most powerful new intercontinental ballistic missile happened back earlier this spring. Apparently didn't go well after all. North Korea trumpeted that March 24th liftoff, listen to that date, March 24th, as the triumphant debut of the long-range Hwasong-17 ICBM. But the missile that flew that day wasn't a Hwasong-17, according to the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey, California. The North Korea propaganda footage shows a truck-mounted ICBM. You've got Kim Fatty Fat flipping the switch. You've seen the video. And apparently on that truck was the Hwasong-17, and all of this out on a deserted country road. A satellite photo shows the same spot without the truck or ICBM, but with a big burn mark on the ground. But the satellite photo was taken on March 16th. 8 days before the purported Hwasong-17 success. And company imagery of the same site on March 24th shows no burn marks. So apparently, the Hwasong-17 in the image blew up. Nothing was launched that day or detected by anyone. And here's the deal. Never lie. You're always going to get caught. Now, a researcher from Belgium. Now, check this out. I love stories like this. A researcher from Belgium created a $25 hacking tool made of parts that could glitch Starlink's internet terminals. And he is reportedly going to make this tool available for others to copy. Leonard Wouters, a security researcher at KU Leuven, demonstrated how he was able to hack into Elon Musk's satellite dishes at the Black Hat Security Conference being held this week in Las Vegas. During his presentation at the conference yesterday, or actually this morning, Wouters went through the hardware vulnerabilities that allowed him to access the Starlink satellite terminal and create his own custom code. That's crazy. $25 of off-the-shelf parts. There you go. Let's get the show cracking on this day in history. 1937, big day. The first electric guitar patent was awarded to the Los Angeles-based Electro String Corporation and their frying pan guitar. on this day in 1937. Rickenbacker, Rickenbacker basses, Rickenbacker guitars. He was a partner in the Electro String Corporation and their frying pan guitar. The reason why it didn't take off, their pickup was round. That's why it was called a frying pan. Kind of looked like a banjo. The pickup was round, went around the edge instead of what we do now, with pickups underneath the strings. It picked up the vibrations on the outside, but it still worked, and they got the patent. There you go. Fader fact. Are you ready? The disappearing blonde gene. Let me say that again. The disappearing blonde gene refers to false, faked, and hoaxed reports that a scientific study had estimated that natural blondes would become extinct, which were then reported as fact by the BBC and London's Sunday Times between 2002 and 2006. What are you going to do? I went and read the reports today. That is just insane. Again, satire, hoaxed, faked, whatever you want to say. But the BBC and the London Sunday Times just decided to run with it and report it as fact. There you go. Tonight, Squatch Week. Squatch Week. It is Squatch Week night 3. And tonight, Williams Lunsford is with us. Tomorrow night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Can't wait for that. And then Friday, I'm out at Vandenberg Air Force Base. We're going to watch me a SpaceX launch and landing. Very excited about that. All right. Now it's time for me to hit this River Moon coffee. rivermoonwellness.com. The links are below. You want the best coffee in the world, Fade to Black blend. The Game Changer blend is amazing too. I just like my coffee, Doc. Links are below. All right, use the promo code F2B blend. You'll get 15% off of your order today. You can also go to our Amazon store. And if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping, right? All right. So today, man, that was a good sip. I'm going to take me another one. So today, I was going to bring it in here on camera. I decided not to. But I opened a jewelry box that I haven't looked at or into for 20 years. Just packed away. And honestly, most of the stuff in it is from 1992 to 1995. Some older. Some things were older. And I'm looking through this jewelry box. In this jewelry box, I found 2 tie chains. Do you remember tie chains? Maybe not. It's 30 years ago. There were these chains that looked like a little miniature coat hanger with a hook on the top. These 2 things, and then a chain down on the bottom. And then you would hook that onto a button on your shirt, and then you tucked the tie in through the chain, and you had this goofy gold chain draped across your tie. And you just thought you were the shiz nickel. You thought you were cool. And apparently I had a bunch of them. And I'm looking at that, and I thought, man, this is an antique, right? This is 30 years old. Oh, man. And if my memory serves me right, you would go to like Men's Warehouse and buy, 2 suits and get 1 suit free. And then they would accessorize everything. And then you go down, they have a table of those accessories and, with those tie chains or whatever. And you could grab stuff. And I guess I was grabbing tie chains. I remember actually sporting them. And so I'm continuing to go through this jewelry box. I found business cards. I found a business card from 1993 from Guitar Center. Found business cards from Elisa's and HHB and AMEC. I worked for AMEC in 1998, and so that's and okay. So I continued to go through. There were a couple of bracelets in there that honestly I didn't even know that I had, which, the last time they were on my wrist was, it's 25, 26, 27, 28 years ago. And incredible. So, and I'm going through the jewelry box. Then I found, how do I even explain this? I found a crystal tooth mounted in this gold mounting that I bought from the Psychic Eye bookshop in 1990. And there it is in the box. I've been carrying this thing around now for 32 years. I bought that at the Psychic Eye. And there it is. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I should give it away. But anyway, so that's in the box. And you know what else I found in there? Then I'm going to move on. Remember Beanie Babies? There was a stack, like 5 Beanie Baby tags, the little hearts. Now, I bought Beanie Babies for my daughter, and she was born in 95. So those are from 1995. And Beanie Baby tags in this jewelry box. Anyway, there's a couple of old watches in there that I haven't seen. I forgot that I had them. And so there was that. So anyway, so now I come downstairs. I'm thinking about this stuff and how old it is. And I look up, there's a shelf above my fireplace in the family room. And on this shelf is a Harley Davidson motorcycle model. And it's like of one of the first Harley Davidsons from like 1905 or something. It's a pretty cool model. It's great, actually. But I bought this model at I think at JFK in New York City, JFK Airport, going through the airport. And there was this thing there, and I was whatever. And I see this model of the Harley Davidson, and I just had to have it. It was $200. And back in 1993, that was all the money. I bought it. I still have it. It is on my shelf. It's there. 30 years, an antique. But this is where my mind, and I was looking, I was like, man, I've had that for 30 years. I've had this for 30 years. But this is where I started to trip a little bit. That, how it was, right? When we were kids, and when we would check out our parents' stuff, did we look at it as being old? Like, man, mom and dad have had that forever. What is it? Why, did you care? Did you ask about it? How did you get it? How long have you had it? And then I've got the same stuff now. Stuff that I've been lugging around with me for 30 and 40 years. And, some of it on display. And eventually it's going to go to my kids. Are they going to look at the Harley Davidson? Are they going to look at the tooth that I bought at the Psychic Eye in 1990? And what will it mean to them? And obviously it's meant a lot to me because I've hung on to it for all of these years. And that Harley Davidson is still on display. I've got Egyptian artifacts that I bought, 30 years ago that I'm proud of them. But is it going to mean anything to anybody in the future? What is the legacy, behind me? And I'm not being morose, but I'm saying that Harley Davidson friggin' motorcycle has been with me thick and thin, right? Always managing to get on display. Strange, isn't it? And what do our kids think about that stuff? So I immediately did this as I was looking at this and I was thinking about Nicole. I picked up my phone and I texted, "I love you." That's what I did. And I waited. I put the phone down. It was like a minute later, "I love you too, Daddy." And that's what it's all about, right? Those memories and those stirring moments that are so personal. And so looking through all of this stuff and then thinking about Nicole, I texted her and she texted me back. And that's what that Harley Davidson did, right? Still doing his job after 1995. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Thought I'd share that with you. I think maybe on Fader night, I'll break open the jewelry box and we'll go through everything one item at a time, and we'll see what's in there. There's a bunch of stuff, and it's a time capsule. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, this is Squatch Week, Night 3. William Lunsford is here. I've got some images we're going to share with you tonight that William sent me. We're going to go through all of that. We're going to talk about his research into Bigfoot that goes back 45 years. Absolutely incredible. So that is our night tonight. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer and UNX Networks. Race Hobbs. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there. Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Then you'll love the UnXNetwork.com. The X is your streaming audio and video for everything supernatural, strange, and mysterious, like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and so much more. From hosts like Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and Christina Gomez. Visit the UnXNetwork.com show page for a complete list of all the paranormal programs you'll find on the X. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for updates at KUNXDB. Follow our Facebook group, UnX Network. Find the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and Apple Podcast. It's time.
It's new.
It's the X.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Squatch Week on Fade to Black. Tonight is night 3, and we have William Lunsford joining us for the first time. He's from Texarkana, Arkansas. That's right. He has had over 40 Bigfoot sightings. He's been researching them for 45 years. He saw the Fouke monster in 1977, and his last sighting was just in April of this year, back in 2022. His link to his Facebook page, he posts pictures up there. He's always talking about his recent stuff, is in the description box below and, of course, over on our website. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Mr. William Lunsford. William,
hey,
what's
everybody.
going on? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. It is so good to be here. I've looked forward to this for so long. I want to thank everybody who's here, who is, even though they knew that I was going to be here, they showed up anyway. And so I'm thankful for that. And again, one of my standard lines is I always want to thank our military, thank our police and our first responders, because you and I can do what we do right now because of that right there. And that means so much to me. And it means so much to me for the people to be here that are listening. So thank you again, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the deal, William, you get our first time guest disclaimer tonight. The next time you're on with us, you don't get it, but tonight you do.
All right.
And it's this, William, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends.
All right.
You go.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's like a 10-year-old tradition here on Fade to Black, the first time guest disclaimer. And if I would have forgotten it, I'd have to deal with email for a week, so it's a tradition around here, but you got it tonight. Now here's William. I just want to do one thing out of the gate. I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. Is that fine? Can I do that?
That's perfect, buddy.
Okay. So everybody, William and I are doing sound and video check earlier. And so and the first thing he didn't say, "How you doing, Jimmy?" He didn't say what's going on. No, he went, "Hey, Church, I've got a Strat right over there." And you go, "I got 9 guitars." And and what I loved about that, William, is you've seen the show before, you've seen the guitars, you're excited, and you couldn't wait to tell me that you've got a guitar collection. But do you find it cool or strange or weird that music binds us together, doesn't it? And when you're hanging out with somebody like me, the thing that will connect us immediately out of the gate is a Stratocaster, right? And isn't that just wonderful?
Man, it is. Man, music has always been a big part of my life. And just like you said, man, that's something that we're bound by, whether it was from the early days of the mountains to The Mountaineers playing the banjos and the fiddles to where the guys now playing the electric guitars. As I told you earlier, I actually went to the very first Texas Jam, 1978, in the Cotton Bowl, where they were spraying people with a water hose. It was so hot. That many people sitting there together, like you said, it binds you all together. And it's something that we carry on with us. I've made friends doing that, just as I have in the Bigfoot community. Man, I have them still for life. So music is just that way.
Some people say that was Ted Nugent's greatest live show was at Texas Jam. Wasn't Deep Purple?
They ended up. I don't think they ended up making that show right there. They were supposed to. Blackmore's Rainbow made it, but the rest of Deep Purple did not make it. So Blackmore was there, and then Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, Hart, Ted Nugent, Van Halen, Atlanta Rhythm Section. Man, just a bunch of really, really good bands. And if you went to rock, you went to the right place, because it was one of the most memorable things in my lifetime.
Well, some of the coolest images of Eddie are from sound check at the Texas Jam.
Right.
And because he played guitars there that he only played for that very short amount of time. I think he played a Les Paul.
Right.
There, which he, a very rare, but that show that you're talking about went down in rock history as one of the greatest, and you were there. Where did you sit? Can I ask?
Yeah, actually, we didn't sit. I went with 4 guys. We all were bodybuilders at the time, and so we actually kind of pushed our way to the front, because if you go to a rock concert like that, what's the use in sitting, man? You miss the whole thing, the whole juice that's coming off there. So we were actually right there in front of the speakers. And my picture was actually on the cover of Circus magazine for that month with Texas Jam there, and it was incredible. The things that we had there, like I said, the number of bands that were there, the people that you met. Like I said, I met people there that I still keep in touch with. So it was one of those things, Jimmy, that only had. It's like Texas Woodstock, as far as it was. And
yeah,
so
definitely. Okay, before we get to Bigfoot, I'm going to throw you under the bus one more time.
All right.
Okay, so everybody, this is William today. He goes, "Hey, man. It's for me, it's all about Judas Priest." I said, stop right there. And you were like, let's jam, man. William, I just totally awesome. And just thank you for that. And you really set the tone for me for the show tonight, because that's my world. That's my world. And very cool. Looking at you and watching your stuff over the years, Judas Priest never came to mind, but it does now. So.
Man, I'll tell you what, if I pulled off this hat, you say, "Oh, that's a bald guy. What's he doing there with Judas Priest?" But I'm not that bald. But then, like I said, I'm not that old either, man. I still listen to Judas Priest. Like I said, I still listen to Ted Nugent. I have my own music downloaded on my phone. Really, really good. Black Oak, Arkansas. At that time, Black Oak, Arkansas was the #1 arena band in the world. As I said, right. Deep Purple didn't get to make it at that time, but man, it was something again that I'll never ever forget. And I go back and I watch it sometime on YouTube and things like that. And man, it's just kind of brings back those wild childhood days. But like I said, we actually stood right there 3 feet from the stage and got to see everybody. Ted Nugent actually spit on my buddy there. So if you've ever seen Ted spits into the air and then he walks out from underneath it. He spit one time and he missed it. But he go, "Man, he spit on me." I'm like, yeah. I don't know if that's anything to brag about, but hey, when you're 18 years old there, man, that's one of those things that you carry with you.
That was a big deal. Man, I couldn't believe it, man. Ted spit on me tonight. So, okay. Man, I love talking music. Okay, one more thing.
Okay.
If anybody, Black Oak, Arkansas and Jim Dandy had their moment from like 72, 73, 74, 75. So unless you were from that era, you probably missed it. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go on the record. If you go back and watch any of the Black Oak, Arkansas concerts or videos, you will find out where David Lee Roth stole everything. Exactly.
From the spandex to the shirt being off, to the different kind of voice. He had that little train whistle. And then, Jim Dandy's voice was just so rough and gruff. But he stole everything from there. But what Van Halen had going was Eddie. All you have to say is Eddie. You don't need to say Van Halen. It's a one that, like Cher or somebody like that. Eddie, you know who we're talking about there.
Yeah, if you didn't know better, right, and you're watching Black Oak, Arkansas, you would say something stupid like, Oh, is this David Lee Roth's first?
Well, you know, they hosted what was called the Midnight Special a whole lot of times there, and they had an album called Street Party. One of the big songs they did was called Hey Y'all, besides Jim Denny to the Rescue. Hey Y'all, man, if you couldn't party to that right there. There were, golly, 50 and 60,000 people out there dancing to Hey Y'all with Black Oak, you know, and just, I mean, it never stopped. So again, that's something right there. I reveal kind of how old and how immature I was at that time, but buddy, hey, that was great. Like I said, the music still bonds us, you know. I was listening the other day there to have my window down. I was playing some Black Oak there, and Deacon, he was Black Oak, Arkansas. I said, oh man, yeah, because I am from Arkansas, and they are actually from a little town called Black Oak. So
there you go. I couldn't wait. The first time I drove through Black Oak and going through Arkansas, Little Rock, and the rock and roll history that is there. I mean, you got Memphis, right? You know, right across the river there. But that area, Little Rock, Fayetteville, Arkansas, that is, well, it's blues, right? For sure. But it's all rock and roll. Elvis, right? That's where it all started. Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, all from that area.
My hometown was actually the place where Elvis Presley played more concerts than any city in Arkansas, as well as Johnny Cash, as well as Jerry Lee Lewis. Downtown down there at the VFW Hall, I think Jim Reeves came here one time, and then later on Tom Jones came. But it is, like I said, all the history's there. Man, this was a kicking little place there at one time, and then all of a sudden the Fouke monster took over, and then that was our claim to fame. But still, you know, like I said, that kind of music right there, Memphis up there. My son went to dental school at Memphis. We went up there and looked at, you know, the Gibson Place, Beale Street. I mean, so much history there that if you appreciate the things that you and I do, you can't scratch that off, you know.
No, you can't. You can't do it. And here's the thing. Let's get to the Fouke monster. The area. I lived in Memphis for a while, and my parents were there, and I went back and stayed in Memphis. I was in my early 20s, mid 20s. And this is, and going into Mississippi, going down to Greenville, right? Going into Arkansas, that whole area. I'm going to tell you, it's friggin' haunted, right? You can everything about it, right? Where, you know, Robert Johnson and the Crossroads and the Boggy Creek and there is something going on. You walk around there, you feel like you're being looked at. You could be alone, but that is a very strange part of the country, isn't it? Everything happens there.
What a lot of people don't know is that everybody tends to think that Bigfoot started on the West Coast. The first one, there was a place in a book called Charlevoix, Louisiana, in 1721. The first sighting that was actually written about was in Natchez, Mississippi. After that, you've got one in South Carolina, then Milledgeville, Georgia in 1829, and in 1834, before Arkansas was ever a state, before the Civil War, Arkansas, over there towards Paragould, and you know where that is, going towards Memphis, there was actually what was called the Arkansas Wild Man. And so that story has been around. Not only is it just a story, there was a place here about 40 miles from my hometown called Paraclifta. And that's where they actually had the one that actually chased. It was on the horses and things like that. So there's a lot of history here. Like you said, there's a lot of Indian burial mounds here. There's a lot of things, Civil War things that have happened through here. So it's really haunted. And you go through those woods, you can go 10 foot in them woods and you feel just like that you're being watched. You know?
You feel it 100%. And we even left out Missouri. Missouri had some of the oldest historical sightings before Missouri was a state. They just call that the Missouri area, right? Yeah. But you're right. Missouri, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama. This stuff was happening all over the place.
And it has. It's just when people want to dismiss that, Jimmy, what they don't realize is, you know, that they tend to accept history. Teddy Roosevelt had some kind of association with Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Custer had a Bigfoot head supposedly he carried around on a charger. He had 3 Indian chiefs there with him. Said, that's bringing bad luck. You're going to die a violent death. Well, we know what happened with Little Bighorn. Daniel Boone actually killed a 10-foot, what he called a Yahoo. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier in Nacogdoches, Texas, was sitting on a log and had been chopping some wood and was sitting there just knocking, just kind of passing the time which is what one thing that Bigfoot responds to is tree knocking. Well, he said in his letter to his brother-in-law, I'm sitting there knocking, and all of a sudden this hairy animal appears. So people don't know the history, how that it goes through there. Yeah, Oregon has got its sightings, Washington has got its sightings, but man, all through Middle America, right through here, like I said earlier than that, we have the sightings down here. And like you said, it's when you go in there and you realize there's something watching you, you can really feel it watching. That's not just I'm not no idiot or anything else like that, but you can feel like you've been watched. And I used to didn't believe that, but till I got out there one day and I knew, and I actually told a friend about it. He went out there and he said, man, you told me the very same thing. He said, I had to get out of there. And he had a guy with him on a four-wheeler. The guy actually just left him on the four-wheeler and drove to the nearest road and waited for him to get there. So it's really a great, strange area, though.
Yes, and I was there in 1989, 1990, down in that area, and I was with a friend, and we went to this remote, what you called it, like an after hours situation in a it's what they do down there, everybody. So you had an old black blues band playing. You had somebody serving drinks, and it was like open from 2 a.m. till like 6 a.m. Right, and out in the middle of nowhere, it was the movie Crossroads. Anyway, when we left, the sun's coming up, and we're in the car, and I was like, "Man, this place is haunted, man. Let's get back to Memphis." And he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "Dude, we're getting out of here with our lives. I'm just telling you, man, just go. We're being watched. This place is haunted." And that was the vibe that I had. And I was William. I was like 24. And I was freaked out. I was 25 years old, and I knew. Now, how old were you in 1977?
1977, I was only 17 years old, and I was fixing to graduate high school, fixing to play college football. And I like to fish. And, man, I was down there just fishing one day. So I was 17 years old, and bulletproof, young and dumb, had some of the dumbest ideas that you'll hear about them later on. But, man, I mean, that was what I did for entertainment, being a Southern boy, and that's part of our heritage down here is the hunting and fishing thing. So 17 years old, and again, thought I knew everything about the world, and until that one day in 1977, till that day happened, and then I realized I didn't know anything.
And what? Okay, we're going to talk about that. Did you have any knowledge of Bigfoot or Boggy Creek before this?
Well, I did, just because in 1971, Charles B. Pierce, the first thing it was actually a national phenomenon, that it appeared in a little town like Fouke, like I said, in a little small town like that. Every one of us has aunts, grandparents, something like that in the country. If it could appear in Fouke, it could appear anywhere. And so it became a national phenomenon. And it was seen several times there. I actually had some friends whose aunt, it nearly ran into their vehicle. There was another young couple there that moved there for a week, and the thing actually was trying to get into their house, stuck his hand through the window. And so as that made the news, my family went one Sunday afternoon, and we drove down there. Traffic was backed up a mile on Highway 71 there. Highway 71 runs about 310 miles through Arkansas there, but there was a whole mile that you could not even get through to Fouke looking through. There were people parked in people's driveways, in their fields, and everything like that. So that was all I had. But I was raised in a Christian home. I didn't really believe in that kind of stuff. I lived out there not too far from the place where I actually had my first sighting, and we had a lot of howling at night, a lot of different type noises, but that was something that people just dismissed at that time. I actually had a black man named Mr. Otis. He used to come sell us vegetables. And one night he came to our house, man, he was banging on the door. And usually, man, he was just real cool. He drove a wagon with a mule named Roscoe. And so this night, instead of him coming up and with all the pleasantries, Mr. Otis comes up and bangs on the door, and we go answer. And he goes, "Where's Mr. Bob? Where's Mr. Bob?" And Mr. Bob was my dad. And he goes, and so we went and got him. My mom was there, and he, and so he said, "Hey," he said, "Have you still got your gun?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Man," he said, "something just jumped up on the road there on me and Roscoe," and said, and it scared him to death. He called it some kind of booger. He said, "Some booger just jumped up on the road." Me and Roscoe said, "It took me a mile to get him to stop running." And he lived about 3 miles from us. And so he actually got my dad to get the car. My dad put the headlights on and took his gun, and he followed Mr. Otis all the way back home that night. Well, that was something that I never really forgot. But then, I thought, well, what is a booger? You know, you don't expect it. But that rumor was there for a long, long time. If you ever see that area down there, a place called South State Line, the road runs right into Sulphur River, drops off at a place called Bobbitt's Landing. And so if you ever see all that right there, you'll realize that, if there was ever any place that he ought to live, this is it. And if not, shame on him, you know.
William, can I get you to sit a little closer to the camera?
Yes, sir, you can.
Now, there you are.
You need some light, Jimmy?
No, you're fine. Cindy, if you see him back up, you just push him from the back.
I'll do it.
Okay. and I keep waiting for something to happen in the background, too, and I'm going to jump out of my skin if it does. Cindy, you have full permission to scare the crap out of me tonight. Now, Booger is also a name that is used throughout the South with other different Bigfoot, Big Feet, and Sasquatches that have been sighted in the area.
Exactly. Probably most commonly people call it the wood booger. And, and then my grandma actually saw one, years before I was born, and she called it a booger. And my mama would tell me that story. So what was it? She goes, well, mama didn't know. And my grandma was an old pioneer woman, but if she had a shotgun with her, if she didn't shoot him, she'd have took the butt and beat the heck out of him. But she actually saw one of those things and then actually called it a booger. So you have the wood booger there, and again, some other people, call them that right there, and that tends to be a common name because there's just not so many things. Then too, they tend to have the common nomenclature like the Fouke monster. Fouke monster is the second most famous Bigfoot in the world besides Patty out there in California from 1958, and it actually changed things around here for a long, long time, and the tradition is still upheld. The legend is still upheld because the legend is still alive. I have seen that creature and others with him, or a creature like that, and others with him at least 7 different times, not including the places that we have up going towards northern Arkansas up there. But you got to get in the woods to do it. He's not going to come to your couch,
Well, he's not coming to your house. I've seen your gun safe. But William, in 1977, we're going to head towards a break in like 3-4 minutes. So we'll set this up for when we come back. But in 1977, did that start off just like any other normal day? Take us through that.
Just like any other normal day. Like I said, I was a teacher's aide for a coach. I had already done my requisites as far as graduating high school. I would grade papers for him for an hour. I had 2 periods of teacher's aid, and then if he didn't have anything else to do, then I could go down and go fishing. He didn't, he would let me go, so I did. That day was just like every other day that I'd ever had, except usually there were rabbits that would run back in front of the trail for you. This time there weren't any rabbits, and they're called swamp jacks, big jackrabbits. And then there was a smell right there that was I had about 2 weeks before. And when I got there that day, that smell was even stronger, and it was more putrid. You were used to that because you have roadkill, you had dead fish around there, so it wasn't anything that just really alarmed you. But this day it was just a little bit different. 2 weeks before that I was down there that day, or a week and a half, 2 weeks before, I had gone back down there, and one of these things had paced me through the woods. Now that day I did not know what it was, but it had paced me from the woods whenever I had gone to one of the gravel pits. It followed me. When I would stop, it would stop. I would start back over. It would start again. Whenever I would stop, you'd hear 1 or 2 more steps. Well, finally, when I got down to a place called Days Creek, there was a ford down there, that's a short, shallow place that you could actually go and cross. When I got down to where I went to go cross, this thing screamed at me. And Jimmy, it was so loud. It's just like you're at a stop sign when you've got somebody pull up there with all those woofers and tweeters and everything else, and your clothes are actually vibrating. But man, worse than that, this is nothing that you've never heard before, and it's close, and the only thing between you and it is just those woods right there. So that kind of set that up. So this day right here, after that continuation, again, nothing. The threat was gone from the one day when he screamed at me. So I thought, oh man, that's just your imagination running wild with you. When I got down to a place called the Crossroads and looked down there were 2 more gravel pits that I wanted to go fish. And I would always look down there. There were generally deer down there. We didn't have a lot of deer back then. I looked down there and I stopped and I'm trying to find deer. And all of a sudden I see a shape there that hadn't been there before. And I looked at it, and I kept trying to dismiss it. And I wanted to walk because I wanted to fish these other pits. It was getting twilight. But thank goodness, like I said, for that feeling they get, like I said, when something's watching, that sixth sense. Well, right as I'm about to take time that I'm just being silly, I start to step, and this thing starts standing up. And he's got his left hand, he has got a limb. He has leaves in it. and he lifts this limb like this, and the limb goes to space it's supposed to. He continues to stand, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And so he walks out there in the middle of the road, and then we have our encounter. If you want to go to break, that'd be a good place to stop, and I can continue later if you want me to.
How far away were you?
I'm probably 40 to 45 yards, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. Like I said, I used to run track. I used to play football. And so, we'd run 40s after practice and everything like that right there. So, I was a good judge. It wasn't any more than 45 yards. The only thing between he and I was just one or two limbs off another tree and just plain space and a little bit of grass, and that was it.
45 yards is too close for me.
Exactly. That's what 40 yards is 120 feet, so it's 120 feet plus you add that right there. But whenever you don't have anything other than that, and you've got a creature there that's twice as big as any human being you've ever seen, that's that amount of space between you and he can be covered really, really quick.
Yeah, that's not enough.
No, it's not enough. It wasn't that day, and it's not. Even today, I've been really close to some right there, and because I think they know that it's most of these places I've gotten very used to being in there. They not be used to me, but so far they haven't really given me the grief. I've had two that's been got it for me and my dog. Another got after my wife and my son and I on Easter Sunday 2014. And I had one 2 years ago when I was up there in the mountains, and this thing ran down the hill through the brush and stopped and kind of and then so that's enough to get your attention, to say the least.
Stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Lunsford is with us. This is night 3 of Squatch Week here on Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I will be right back after this short break. On the Game Changer and NX networks, this is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can, right now, get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers, and you're listening to Jimmy Church, The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight's Squatch Week, Night 3 with William Lunsford. First-time guest. Long time coming. I can't wait to have him back on the show already. And so we're going to pick up right where we left off, William. It's 1977. You're 17 years old. You're fishing. You set yourself up for something, right? And so what happens next?
What happens next is this thing, like I said, whenever he raises that limb to where it's supposed to go and he stands on up, then he sits there and walks into the middle of this logging road. And this logging road is probably not 20 feet wide, what's left. It had been from years there from logging and hauling gravel out. And so as he sits there, he stops and starts looking at me, Jimmy. And whenever he did, the first thing I thought is, I am fixing to die. Because I recall hyperventilating. I recall losing my breath. I first thought, golly, that's a bear. Well, then I knew it wasn't a bear because, I didn't believe. 30 seconds before that encounter, I did not believe. I knew it wasn't a sloth because we don't have any sloths around here. And people say, oh, well, that's probably somebody in a suit. Well, buddy, I was probably a mile and a half from my vehicle by that time, and I had walked. It wasn't a place where you were going to walk during that part of probably April because I had just gotten through with track season, but it was hot. Nobody back there was going to walk. 2+, man, you're here in Arkansas. Everybody carries a gun. You get a gun before you get a baby rattle, man. And
That's right. That's right.
And so it's not going to happen. So this thing is not somebody in a suit. So I'm sitting there and it's sitting there and Jimmy, it starts teetering from one side to the other, on one foot to the other. And like I said, the eyes are just black as coals. This thing is about, the only thing I've tell people, and if I'm sorry, folks, you're tired of hearing this, but it's like Andre the Giant. It was about 7.5 to 8 foot tall, probably weighed, I know at least, I used to guess 500 pounds. Well, man, I'm 270, 280. 500 was a very light guess according to that right there. It probably weighed close to 600 or 700 pounds. It was covered in hair, stank like crazy. And like I said, it's just massive. And this thing, you realize that it has the power, should it want to. Number one, it can chase you down. Number two, it can start separating body parts real quick if it wants to. And so I'm sitting there just scared to death. And I remember thinking to myself, Jimmy, I thought, Lord, if you don't help me, please don't help him. And again, please let him find my body, and please help my mom. And to get through this thing right there. And man, I was scared. And I wanted to run, Jimmy. I wanted to run because I was a good miler. And I couldn't move. I'm just sitting there. And so
what are you going to do with the fishing rod?
Well, here's the story. You do some stupid things. I had actually bought a Bowie knife the week whenever I had the thing that screamed at me. I actually had the Bowie knife out and was going to kind of, I was going to change his look. Let's just put it that way, to put it very nicely and calm. I was going to change his look and change his voice if I had to. And so I had the Bowie knife, and I'm sitting there, and of course very flashy blade, but he's sitting there like, you don't even want to come down here. And he's posturing towards me like, this is my area. Well, then he gets and he walks back to the very same limb he had. He takes that left hand, he puts it in his mouth with that limb, and he's what we call skin the cat. He just takes all the leaves off of it. He turns it loose and he walks back in the middle of the road. And I thought, this is where it's going to happen. Again, he sits there and he teeters. It seems like 2 hours, but I couldn't tell you how long it was. It was probably the first part of the encounter was probably a minute and a half. So this part right here was probably 30 to 40 seconds. But he's sitting there doing that and looking at me, and I'm like, this is it right here. And to be honest with you, man, they can do what's called vibing. And when they can make you lose bodily functions. I actually wet my pants, man, and had no idea. And so he's sitting there, and I'm like, well, here he comes. He's sitting there, he teeters. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I'm either going to try to run. I've still got the knife, or else I'm going to try to go jump into one of these gravel pits behind me. I could swim real far underwater. And I decided I'm going to try to go underneath the water, try to swim away to where I can hide, maybe get in the brush and crawl out and run. Well, finally, as I'm sitting there and he's looking at me, he acts like he's going to take a step forward, and he just wheels on that left leg. And whenever he does, he takes 2 steps. And then that third step, he's into the woods, Jimmy. And then I can't hear him. I can't see him. I can still smell him. And that's probably as unnerving thing as and anything, because like you said, you can still feel, he's looking at you. Finally, my senses and started to come back to me. I'm like, buddy, if you're going to go anywhere, you better go. So I started running just like I was going to run my mile. I started out in your first quarter, you speed as fast as you can, then you kind of go into cruise mode, and then the last quarter, you pick it up, and then you really pour it on. Like I said, I'm probably a mile and a half away. Buddy, I was blistering. Never put my blade up, kept my blade in my hand, rod and reel the same way. Don't know why I didn't throw it away. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it was your first 4-minute mile.
Exactly right. I was pretty good. I could do a full 45 was what I could do back in high school.
Right. Not that day. That day. You were 3:58.
I did, and I actually had a creek I had to jump called 4 Mile Creek. I actually did that in a steeplechase. Didn't even get my feet wet. Sailed right across 4 Mile Creek, up onto the bank, and then had to run across an open area there of a field that used to be a landfill. And I'm like, he's going to get me right here. This is it. I just knew I didn't have a chance. I was steadily looking over my shoulder. I got to a place in the road where there's about 120, 130 yards of canopy. I said, well, he'll step out of the canopy. He'll get me here. I got to the gate. He's still not there. I throw my rod and reel and knife over the gate, and I dive through the gate because I thought that was probably the quickest way. I've got my keys in my pocket. I had a Datsun B210. I actually hit the lock, making the lock hole there on the first shot. Jumped in right quick, started that joker up. Looking around, trying to see, he's not there. I wiped my face, and I said, realizing my face is just covered in tears. And that's when I, like I said, took inventory of myself. I looked up there, and there's my fishing tackle and my knife. And so I thought, well, shucks, what am I going to do? I was a poor kid, man. That was a nice rod and reel, nice tackle box. And the knife actually cost me about $50 or $60. It was a case XX. And so I looked around. I pulled up right quick with my Datsun B210, grabbed it, threw it in the passenger side, and then I drove back to Texarkana, which was about 11 or 12 miles.
Tell me the B210 was a hatchback.
It was a hatchback, buddy. It was. I called it the Great White Buffalo after Ted Nugent because it was white and had little chrome wheels, and that was a jamming dude. Yeah.
I had a brown one, 4-speed stick. I drove the life out of that car. I loved that car. Datsun B210 hatchback, 2-door. Man, I was all about it. So the event, what does it do to your head at that point? And were you going to tell people about it, or are you going to avoid being the crazy guy?
Well, at first, man, you've got this need. Even policemen will say people have this need to confess. I had to get this off my chest. Mm-hmm. I went in and I told my mom, and I flopped down. We had a little spinning kind of recliner right there, and I sat down. She goes, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "Mama," I said, "you're not going to believe it. I saw the Fouke monster. And she just kind of giggled a little bit. And she said, you saw the Fouke monster? I said, Mama, I saw the Fouke monster. I said, you can see tears starting to well back up again. She goes, really? And I told her about it. And she goes, son, she said, I believe you, because that's what moms do. You know? And there's so much comfort in that voice. But then she also said, I don't believe I'd tell a whole lot of people that, though. So I took that to heart until the next morning when I saw my best friend. I'm like, man, you'll never believe what happened at the gravel pits. I told him, and he just died laughing. I thought, man, what some kind of friend you are. There's a whole lot of difference between people listening and people believing. He said, man, I know you saw something. And I said, buddy, I saw the Fouke monster. And so we kind of let that become a moot point there for a while. And then I went on to school. Then that afternoon, my teacher's aide coach goes, man, how's your fishing day? I said, man, you wouldn't believe it. I said, the fishing was good until I said, I saw the Fouke monster. And he just died laughing. He was a card. I mean, I don't blame him, man. I did not believe till 30 seconds before then. But then I knew there was no doubt in my mind. And the place that I saw it was, as the crow flies, I've done a lot of research down there since then. It's about 3 miles from where the very first Fouke monster sighting was. So it could have been the same creature. It could have been, from the same clan. But after that right there, I found out later on that there had been 3 sightings right there before I had ever had my sighting. One of them was a man with a church Christ preacher. We actually went to a church with him and his grandson, and they had actually seen it one day, found that out by accident. Then another lady had seen it when she was driving down the road. And there have been 3 more sightings there since then. I've had 2 there myself. I don't think it's the same creature, but still they're the same place. There's something about that area that is really a heart draw to it. So
it must be maybe a family community, and I'm sure you thought about that a lot. Let's come back to that, but I want to go backwards for a second.
Sure.
You said it stank. Now, yeah. I know that you talked about this a lot, but I just got to ask you, what's your version of stank?
If you had a skunk that had been out there in waiting in raw sewage with rotten eggs in there, and you had a little bit of chicken fertilizer mixed in, and then some roadkill, that would be stink. And this is actually a defense mechanism for those things, because they can actually use it to try to intimidate you. I told my wife, and I tell everybody, I say, you can fake anything. You can fake the tracks. You can put your little suit on, but you're not going to fake that smell. And she found out what I meant by that after about 30 years. And then after that right there was no doubt. I actually got to smell it last Friday up on Millwood Lake on the river. And there was actually one in the woods on me and my buddy, and he was growling at us. He started trying to stink us out. We didn't leave, but it's the most putrid smell. And it can actually, this friend of mine, his wife and daughter went down. The thing was trying to stink out me and him and Cindy and his daughter. She was throwing rocks into the water. And Cindy went to the truck, and then my buddy's wife was trying to walk up there, and it started hitting us with more of that infrasound and then that smell. She actually got sick and started to dry heave. So I went up there. I was the only one who had a gun in my pocket. I went up to get her to the vehicle. And when I did, I'm not scared because I know what I'm dealing with. I mean, I know there's always a chance of some kind of danger, but I know what I'm dealing with. I get up there and, man, my eyes just start watering. The water just starts pouring out, and I'm not scared. And it's like I was peeling onions, like I was peeling a bag of onions. I got her up there. Then we went and got him and his daughter. We sat there 10 minutes, and with this thing continuously hitting us with this smell. And so we had to go home. And so we left, and then after we're probably a mile and a half away, my wife goes, turn around. And I thought, shoot, she's done left that stupid cell phone out there and didn't get it. I said, you left your cell phone, didn't you? And she goes, no. She goes, I have got to know whether that smell is still there. We went back, Jimmy, and it was just like you were in a Glade air freshener commercial.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? And you ever see the show Parks and Recreation?
I sure have.
Okay, you know Ron Swanson, right? Okay, so Ron has that sense when his ex-wife is like in the area. She's here, right? Is that what happens? Do you get the scent before everybody else does, and because it's so distinct?
I do, and I was one place there. I had one of my buddies one time, and I smelled it, and he thought I was crazy. Then all of a sudden, when he picked it up, he's like, "Oh my gosh!" So it is, and you do, and I do, because the one thing I see first, whenever I see a friend of mine has got a picture of a Bigfoot, I will be glad to show you if I get to come back on. I'll send you some of that. There's 4 of them in a crevice of a rock right there. But you see one with his hand sticking up is this right here. The first thing I see is a hand, because I saw that hand with lifting up the limb right there. And the first thing I do is smell. And I'll start doing like a bloodhound. It may look stupid, but let me tell you what, it's a good case of self-preservation. Dying is the last thing I want to do, literally. And that is, for me, whenever I recognize it, there's no other smell about it. And I've smelled it probably maybe 8 to 10 times more since then.
Yeah, something you'll never forget.
Never.
The this day in 1977, now you're friends, and the word is out. William is seeing things. Were there any other reports of sightings around that time?
There were people. Everybody thought that creature back about after 1972, 73 just disappeared. There was a movie called Boggy Creek Monster that was done. It was the latest, and it's not a remake of the Legend of Boggy Creek. It's from the people who have continued to have sightings during the 70s, and yes, there were. And that movie, Boggy Creek Monster, done by Seth Breedlove, man, very, very intelligent mind, very creative, and he did that, and it tells the stories of the people who continued to have sightings. I was a UPS man for 35 years. When I got to go to Fouke, I was tickled to death because I didn't like being there at nighttime where I knew like I was going to be, but I also knew I was going to get to talk to some of these people who had these sightings. And, and boy, they handled it with class, man. When you pull up and somebody's out there in your pasture with guns fixing to possibly shoot your livestock, man, I'm going to pretty well take a damn view of that. Well, man, they handled it good. They left, the people left town owing them money as far as that go, made promises that weren't done. People made fun of them. Thought we just got our first pair of shoes 3 weeks ago, and something like that right there. So they did. They really helped. But I got to ask these people. And after a while, they realized that you were not going to make fun of them. Then they would say, well, let me tell you about that. And so they would tell me their stories they had. Not everyone I met. Some of them still don't believe, even though they've been residents of Fouke. But I had a good friend of mine. His name is Bill Smith. And Bill and I played football together. We ran track together. A very, very good shot putter. And me and Cindy saw him probably about 4 months ago at Sam's. And he goes, you still doing Bigfoot? And I said, yeah. He goes, I've been keeping up with you some. And he goes, my mom and my sisters saw that Bigfoot. And I said, oh, really? And I said, man, you're going to tell me about that right there. I said, you didn't get to see it? He goes, no. He said, but my grandpa was the man who owned the field where the very first track was. Well, man, if I'd have been thinking, I would have put it together. His name is Bill Smith. The very first track, the man who owned the field was named Willie Smith. Willie and Bill are nicknames both for William. I would have known right then that was his grandpa. Well, I got to talk to them about 3 weeks ago. One of the ladies has passed away, sadly, with that right there. But I got to talk to them and got the stories. And, buddy, everything they said is true. I got to go to that farm one day, me and my son, and we got to ride around on those side-by-sides. There's a place you get to in the corner of that field. Boggy Creek runs right along the edge of the fence line. When you get to the corner of that field, man, you talk about getting chill bumps. You can't shake that feeling. It's like you've got a bumblebee flying up and down your backbone. And it was the strangest thing. So the reports are there. Like I said, I've seen the creature there about 2 miles from where that happened to me. And so it's still going on. Again, the people handled it so good, but the sightings are still there. There was one last year, I think it was in February. And then I saw 3 of them crossing a place called Mercer Bayou, which is world famous, crossing a field there at Mercer Bayou back in May. And they were actually so smart that they had 2 of them had separated from the third one. And I'm doing a video for Duke's show, actually. And I'm sitting there doing the oration, and all of a sudden, something knocks on me. Well, man, I'm sitting there still shooting, and I'm looking to the woods like that. And then I can't find the thing. I turn back around, and here's the 3 that are running across there. But then after they had used that to distract me. So I said, it's like a human game of chess. Really, really incredible animal. Very, very smart, but they're still there. And I've got a picture. One had one run up on me on March 2nd. I think it's 2000, and the year 2000. I had just left Keith Crabtree's camp out there. And I saw a X structure, man. They'll take these trees, manipulate these trees. They're absolutely excessive compulsive. If there's something on one side, it'd be like this right here, look, the X's, then it will be where you have to have it on the other side. Well, I saw this, and as I was driving down, well, I went down to look at that. When I did, I'm standing there, and I see something black on all fours running across the daggum ground right there. And I'm like, that's a big hog. Well, man, whenever it got closer, I realized it wasn't a hog. I actually thought it was a Bigfoot, but it ended up being what's called a gugaway, which is one of the snouted Bigfoot that has the really, really bad attitude. And so I take off running towards what I think is a Bigfoot. Whenever I get down about 40 feet away, all of a sudden I see this thing hiding behind a log waiting on me. And man, I put on the brakes right quick, and I only had a 44 caliber pistol. All I had, or 40 caliber pistol. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and man, he looks at me, and then he turns his head and looks like he's got a buddy back there that he's waiting on to come up there. And then he turned back again. I got 3 pictures, and I turned and ran. And that was when I was 60 years old. But you talk about a 60-year-old man running up wet leaves, going up a hill. Shoot, man, Usain Bolt, I would have smoked his butt that day because I was the fastest thing in the woods. And I left. Well, I got pictures. My buddy Randy Crawford, we went back. He wanted to go back the next day. I told him, I said, I can't, Randy. I said, I have a PTSD. I really did. I mean, because I only had that small gun. And this is one of the Bigfoot that will eat you. It's called a gugway. So
can I stop you right there for a second? You sent me some pictures earlier. We'll look at them after the break, everybody. Relax. They're great. But in one of the pictures, you show the print, but to show the size of the footprint, there's a gun, pistol next to it that's about 1.5 feet long.
Right. That's a 44 Magnum.
40. It looks like a 40. It's Clint Eastwood, right? Dirty Harry gun.
Exactly.
So, but I have heard that Bigfoot knows what a gun is, right? So, how effective is? Do you always make sure that you're armed just in case? But if Bigfoot sees the gun, that's like a bad day at Black Rock, right?
It really is. But I think they know, Jimmy, I have no desire to kill one. Even the one that night that charged me and Cindy and Reese. We're down there in the woods, just black as the ace of spades, man. Everything just gets just totally dark. He starts running up on us. I hit him with, they're afraid of light. They don't like light. And so I waited till he got close enough. And then I threw the spotlight up. Cindy had already was walking back to the truck. I threw the spotlight up and had my gun in my one hand. Well, he turned around, went on all fours, run about 10 feet, and then stood up and went back through started going back through the woods right there. We can hear him go get up in a tree. And so he's up in that tree right there. And Cindy's in the vehicle. And she tells Reese, like I said, Reese, it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Reese is armed like a third world country. He's got every gun. He's got 3 or 4 knives around him, and he's got a sword. So, he means business, buddy. That Bigfoot's got a bad day at Black Rock whenever it goes after him. But anyway, Cindy goes, give me a gun. And so he hands her a flashlight. And she goes, just what am I supposed to do with this? He said, they're more afraid of a flashlight than they are a gun. She said, you give me a gun. So he does. By that time, it's really, really quiet. I mean, it's quiet as the inside of a tomb. Then we hear him jump out of the tree and take off. We wait a few minutes, and so we go to leave. But before we leave, Cindy's sitting there, and the thing is still close by. And she goes, if you guys hear this truck start, you better jump into the back because I'm gone. Now, this is my son who's going through dental school, the only son we've got. I looked at her. I said, Cindy, and by then we've been married 30-something years. And I said, you mean to tell me that you are going to leave me and your only son down in these woods by ourselves with a rogue Bigfoot? And she goes, I'll have more kids. You better listen to me. If this truck starts, you better jump in the back because she's gone. And she meant it. She wasn't bluffing. That wasn't no bluff charge.
Bigfoot's smart. They're just like us. And so I'm assuming that by now, they know when somebody has a weapon on them or not, right? Or anything else. It doesn't have to be a gun. It could be a bag full of steaks or whatever. They know what you have with you, right?
They do, and that's and asking that question right there. There's so many things down here that will hurt you besides a Bigfoot where I live. Man, like I said, we got hogs, we got bears, we got panthers, bobcats, coyotes, and I could go on and on. We got rattlesnakes, we got cottonmouths, got copperheads. But I think that as a UPS man for 35 years, I learned that dogs really are good at knowing your intent. There were people there that would say, "My gosh, how'd you make friends with that dog? He'll usually eat everybody else up." Well, I think they have that intuition, and I think Bigfoot has it. I've been up there to all the three major places. Me and Stephen Hunt, we got 2 more. We got about 5 to 6 there. But of all those, I'm always armed. I've never had any trouble with the Bigfoot, and I'm always armed. And I think that whether they quote no unquote or whether they can read by my actions, that's not for them, and therefore I've never had any trouble that way.
Well, Bigfoot likes Judas Priest too.
I guarantee you.
They can tell when there's a Rob Halford fan walking around the woods. But there is all animals have senses that we don't necessarily possess. And if you've got a good nature about you, if you don't have something aggressive about you, they know that, right? Now, if you've got a bad attitude, then you're asking for trouble. And that goes with anything, a snake.
Exactly. It really does. And that folks, that's not cliche. That's just the honest truth. The only reason I carry a gun right now is for protection from other animals. But I think they realize that that's me and Stephen are out in the woods, man. My research partner, Stephen Hill, we're out in the woods cutting up, having a ball. Both one day, we both had chartreuse shirts on, and I told him, or I had mine in the truck, and he had his. I said, I should have put mine on. We'll make an Olympic event, synchronized Bigfoot hunting, and so we're having a ball. But I think they realize that we're not going to hurt them. Now, we spend a lot of time in these areas. These creatures, I've got one creature there that actually follows me wherever I go through the woods, or she'll come up after I've left. She'll put footprints there and everything like that. And I think they know that we're not going to hurt them. And that sounds stupid, Jimmy, but it's not. Like I said, they become used to you.
That's not stupid at all.
And my wife is the most incredible thing you've ever seen. She can go down there and do a scream, and they'll bring their babies to the edge of the woods and stick them out for her to see. I mean, and that's the honest truth. They really will. She's gotten several pictures just like that, and she got the best Bigfoot call that you've ever heard. She practiced it by hollering at me naturally, but anyway, but they do. They recognize her. They recognize she's got a real motherly instinct to her on that right there. So they do. They all animals, and they're better in their environment than we are in ours, or as good in their environment as we are in ours, and that's the truth.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, William Lunsford. It is Squatch Week, night 3 here on Fade to Black. We're going to continue this conversation. Also, I have some images. We're going to go through those when we come back right after this short break. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
The Believer is the chilling true story of Dr. John Mack, a renowned Harvard psychiatrist and Pulitzer Prize winner.
This is an outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired.
He risked it all to investigate human encounters with aliens. The Believer, Alien Encounters, Hard Science, and the Passion of John Mack. Written by award-winning former New York Times journalist and author Ralph Blumenthal. Now available in paperback from High Road Books.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
Hi, I'm Ray Sobbs, and I'm here to tell you about something I really think you're going to like. The UNX Network is a part of a larger group called UNX Media, and one of the things we offer is the quarterly UNX magazine, which is available both in print and digital formats. This amazing magazine covers all aspects of the unexplained and makes for a great coffee table periodical that is certain to spark enlightening conversations in your living rooms. We invite you to check out the latest digital issue for free. Just go to unxnetwork.com/membership and fill out your free membership with your name and email and become a new free member. The new summer issue is now available, and the theme is Time Anomalies, which includes a feature article written by our managing editor, Lee Spiegel. Just go to unxnetwork.com/memberships. That's unxnetwork.com/memberships and get your free e-copy of the UNX magazine today.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great conversation tonight. Squatch week here on Fade to Black. Tonight's night 3 with William Lunsford. And I got to tell you, William, there is nothing like having the crazy ass uncle that can tell a story at a campfire. Right? You're okay. You are that guy. You need to come out and just scare the crap out of everybody one night with my friends. It would be so much fun. Now we're going to get back to some of your other sightings and things, but I have these images here. You sent me some stuff that are very compelling. And one of them has the Clint Eastwood shot. And so I wanted, I've got everything in order that you sent to me. So if it's okay with you, let's go through these images now, because this first image here is so compelling, and it's obvious because there's a tape measure there. Now, is that tape measure showing 2 feet? That's what's right here, right?
It's showing right at 23 inches, Jimmy, and that's not with a bend, so it'll act more. And I found a 22.5 to 23 inch track and a 19 inch track that day. There were 5 hogs there that had been killed and laid out there. One of the hogs had been turned over and disemboweled. Whenever I went back there, the hog that had been disemboweled was picked up and carried off. Well, anyway, I went back in the next week and to see if I had actually found that picture of a track that day as well. Came back, and this is what was there. This and the 19-inch track, and you can see that you've got the toes, you've got the heel, and the tape measure. The big eye don't lie, and I actually sent that to Duke just as soon as I got it. Duke will vouch also. Can I say one thing about the babies there to clarify? When I say that they show my wife the babies, they actually come to the edge of the woods. She'll have her camera. She'll look at the black spots, take the picture. We go home, and there's the babies. One of them actually, there was a mama Bigfoot, and she had two big babies right there by her knee. So let me clarify that so people don't think I'm crazy. And then she's got enough, because they do. They come up. There's actually a video on YouTube of a mama going up to a gorilla that had a baby, and both of them had the same thing. They shared a moment. The gorilla comes up, looks at her baby. Mama looks at her baby. So let me clarify that so people don't think I'm stupid. But anyway, back to this track right here. This is the biggest track I've ever found. And this is, people that don't think that I had one of the, quote, best researchers in the world tell me, well, if you have a Bigfoot track that's over 16 inches, then it's a hoax. But this is 3 miles into the woods. This ain't no hoax. The chance of somebody actually finding this thing was slim and none. And as far as that goes, there was actually 5 of these tracks that were this size there, as well as 3 of the 19. So this is not a hoax. I mean, you can see just how big this animal was. And this is dry. This is May the 17th on this picture right here. And we hadn't had any, and you see how big and how deep that thing is. So that's one of the pictures I'm proudest of. And I've got the other pictures if somebody wants to see it. There's probably, hopefully, several in your audience that I have actually sent pictures to. They've sent me, hey, will you send me some pictures? Sure. This is not about me getting the $1 million shot. This is about us making people aware that Bigfoot is real. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
No. What I did want to say is big shout out to Duke Sullivan of World Bigfoot Radio. He's been hanging out in the chat tonight. But Duke, I can't say enough about Duke, number one. And number two, this week is because of Duke. And when Duke said to me, he goes, okay, Bob, I said, stop right there, William Lunsford. That's where we're going, right? and we immediately got this set up. I have been listening to you for a very long time, and one of the things when you tell me and send me a picture like this, and I'm looking at a 23-inch footprint, the first thing that comes out of my mouth and anybody else is, right, holy crap, how big are we talking about here? Because, 23 inch, that's twice as big as my foot.
And that's 11.5 inches across up there where the toes are. So 23.5 by 11.5. I mean, it's just, I was scared to death when I first found it. I was about 40 yards from where my truck is. Like I said, I know 40 yards. I had left my pistol in my truck and just walked down there just to look where the hogs were. I see this right here, and man, it just unnerves me to no end. I immediately start looking around. And so, again, for something this big, this is one of the biggest tracks I've ever found, if not the biggest track I've ever found.
So what do you think? 1,000 pounds?
Every bit of 1,000 pounds. They do get to be that big. I'm going to have a picture of me and a guy named Daniel Becker going to show one that we got back in April that's going to be 10.5 foot tall and every bit of 1,000 pounds. I've actually got another that came up and was tearing at my camera. And there's 4 small ones in another bush beside him. They won't even get close to him, and he's over 10.5 foot tall, and he'll weigh over 1,000 pounds. Again, if I ever come back on your show, I will send you those pictures beforehand so you can share with everybody. Again, I have shared several of my pictures here with people that are in your chat room right now, and they will verify. And if I have with you, please verify now. Yes, he sent those pictures, and they're real.
Of course. And now here's another obvious question. I know that you said you were looking around,
right?
But you see something like this, no matter how big you are, no matter how strapped you are, none of that matters, does it? I mean, it puts everything in perspective.
Not a lick. You realize you're actually deformed. Your daggum feet are growing too close to your head, and your shoulders aren't wide enough because this thing is real. And it's when you see one that way, the way they're built. I'm 2 foot wide at the shoulders, Jimmy, and this thing will have to be at least 4 foot wide at the shoulders. And the legs, generally the legs, it's funny, the legs are not super long like what people would think, but there's a proportion to them. But with the shoulders and the arms, like I said, there is no neck. I mean, I used to be a bodybuilder. You can see the traps. Well, these things, the neck just sits on the shoulders. There is no, I mean, the head just sits on the shoulder. There is no neck. When you see this, these things are so impressive, and they're a beautiful animal, man. They have a beautiful coat. Most of the ones I've seen have got, really, really pretty coats. Sometimes they'll have a few sticks or stuff. But with this right here, with that kind of size right there, and you realize, again, Andre the Giant was 7.5 foot tall, weighed 540 pounds. I used to be a wrestling fan. I actually saw him in person. Bigfoot is nothing compared to him, man. I mean, Bigfoot is so much bigger than what Andre was. Andre doesn't even begin to compare,
Now, where was this track photographed?
This was down there, probably from where I had my very first sighting. It was probably 4 miles away, something other like that. About 1.5 miles from Sulphur River, which and Mercer Bayou. Boggy Creek runs back in there. They all run together back there, but it's about that far away right there. So it's in some woods. It's a good 2 miles into the woods right there where that is. Probably 3 miles, depending on which road you take to walk in on. And that right there, like I said, I got to go in there with my truck, but whenever I went in there and actually found those hogs, you had to walk in there. And so when I find this right here, not expecting this right here, it kind of changed the way I looked at things. I realized, so now my son actually, after this right here, instead of that 40 caliber pistol, my son actually bought me a 45-70, which is a good big rifle. And then he actually bought me an elephant gun. I said, not to kill him. That's more because we have bears down here, and I do not want to be bear scat for sure. So I carry that for the bears. Again, the hogs, man, a hog will eat you up so quick. It'll eat you while you're standing there and you won't even know what's gotten you. So I carry it for that right there. But if worse come to worse, Bigfoot's an endangered species. Well, so am I. There's one of me. And I want to keep that trend going for a little bit longer,
Yeah, you got that right. And a hog will chew your bones. I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, that's it.
There was a guy down here that one actually pulled a calf out of his cow's uterus and was eating it before it ever hit the ground. So they are just that bad.
Here's this next image, and I think this is the one. It's 3 inches deep.
3 inches deep. It's 16.5 inches. And you can see the toes up there. You can actually put your fingers up into the toe holes right there. And that's right down there in a place called Smith Park, which again, Sulphur River is less than 100 yards from there. The funny part about it was there was a policeman came up while we were fixing to cast that right there. And he goes, he thought we had a marijuana grow because we were bringing in water and had buckets and shovels and everything else like that. He's like, what are you doing? And told him, I said, well, I'll be honest with you. So if you won't tell nobody, so we're fixing to cast a Bigfoot track. And Bigfoot track. And I said, yeah. He goes, can I see it? Long story short, his dad had seen one years ago. And with him being a sheriff, he said, right here where this trail we took to this track, he said, I have to drive down here every night. He said, the only place I get the heebie-jeebies is right here where we're parked here to walk down to this trackway right there. And so that is that right there. And that was at the time was one of the biggest tracks. But like I said, I'm 280 pounds, Jimmy. I'm still bodybuilding then. Look how deep that is, man. And that's not soft dirt.
I am nothing compared to you and your friends. But I have seen, I'm sure you saw the images last night. And that, seriously, because I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy, right? I'm 6 foot, I'm 200 pounds. And it is intimidating. You understand really quick when you're standing next to a print like this, that is 2 inches into the ground and is that big, when I'm not even disturbing the dirt, right? I'm not leaving footprints.
Right.
I'm barely bending the grass.
Exactly right.
And you see something like this. And how many inches was this?
16.5 on this right here that I got a good measurement on, 16.5. If you notice, the heel tends to be a little less wide, and then you get to the toes, it widens out. We call them boat paddle footprints down here. They're not like what you'll see sometimes in the Pacific Northwest where it just looks like a regular foot. Sometimes they are. I think that just depends on what kind of creature this is, what the species is. But this right here, man, it shook me to the core because that dude is huge, and we had to walk a pretty good little ways out of my truck with all that equipment to get this and to cast this track. And whenever that policeman saw it, man, he said, "Can I call my wife?" I said, "Sure." He called his wife. She's got the interest. honey, you'll never believe what I'm doing. I'm casting a Bigfoot track, and she looks, oh my gosh. And then he told me the story of his dad seeing one a couple miles from there when he was a milkman. And so the story.
William, can I jump in and ask you a dumb question? Do you carry casting materials with you? Is it just like in the trunk of your car?
Yeah, I do. I have a truck. I have a Z71, and I carry a big bucket full of plaster of Paris. And then I carry, just in case that plaster of Paris gets wet, that's happened more than once when the lid accident comes off. I carry something called great stuff. It's like a foam filler, like you get to patch holes in your wall, something like that outside, and I'll squirt that foam filler, then put a board on top so that it will go down into the crevices there. But generally, I'd rather have the plaster of Paris. People don't realize anytime you make a cast like on this size right here, that cast will cost you $4 in plaster of Paris. So it's not inexpensive, but you want it to be the best you can. And because that's something that you memorialize for your lifetime. I've gotten several of them there, and I'm probably the world's worst caster, but when you show them to folks, it tends to make an impression on them.
How many casts have you made?
I have probably made, after a while, Jimmy, I got to see and truly get to see in so many tracks in there. I probably made 20 to 30, something like that. I've actually got the cast of a 14-inch foot and a knuckle print when the things are knuckle running or knuckle walking. I found an 80-yard track line, and where its fist went in, it was round. Where the foot went in, it was this long, and it was at an angle. And to cast this set of tracks with the hand and foot, the cast probably weighs 20 pounds, and I have to put it on a piece of plywood that's probably 24 inches. So I do, but I carry that material all the time. That's I even the one here that you're fixing to show. I called my wife that morning, and I'll tell you which one it is. And the plaster of Paris had dried. Well, hey man, bless her heart, she was bringing it out there to us. And before we got down there, some knucklehead pulling a boat drove right through it like they had a catfish. Man, my heart was up my throat doing that number right there, and I thought about stopping doing jumping jacks, faking a heart attack, whatever I could do to get the guy not to drive over it, but he drove right through it.
Now, the next one I think is, man,
that's the 44 Magnum. You betcha.
Okay, I'm just going to hand this off to you. What are we looking at here?
Right here, we're looking at a Bigfoot track. This is the Bigfoot that got after me and my wife and my son Easter Sunday 2014. You look at the top of this track, and you'll see all four toe prints right there. And that track is about 2 inches deep. I went down there the next day. UPS had time off that I could take without getting paid. But Cindy goes, well, you got a chance to go down there. You need to go. And I said, well, I believe I'm going to. And she said, you want me to go? And I didn't, because I think she was the catalyst of that thing getting really aggressive that night. But I had told her when this thing stopped, I said, he's standing right over there. And she goes, you think so? I said, I know so. Jimmy, I was able to walk up to this track right here, exactly where it was as soon as I got it. So, and then I put the 44 there for scale, and you can see how wide this is. I've got 4 more pictures from that same deal where there's 2 16-inch tracks where he's stepping and his feet are spread apart. It's about a 3-foot step. And then the tracks are about 16.5 inches on those. So this is it. So this is actually the creature that got after us that night. And you can see just how big that is. And that dude right there meant business too.
That is a big print right there. And now, is it, am I seeing it right at the end of the muzzle, right? And you go to the left.
Right.
So where the branches are coming across, that's the big toe all the way over there, right?
Exactly. Whenever it hit was so deep when it stepped, it actually went underneath those little sticks right there.
Right. So it's like 12 inches wide.
Exactly right. That's one of the widest tracks I've ever found. That dude is just huge. And I don't know whether it was that's generally an anomaly, because like I said, generally it's the length is twice the width, and that's generally a pretty good form. But this right here is just so wide. And you can look at the other tracks how wide. I actually found an old men's size 11 shoe out there to use as scale, and you wouldn't believe how it dwarfs that size 11 shoe right there. And so, but that's him right there. And like I said, my wife would vouch for you to anybody as well. That's exactly where that came from. And I walked right up to it. Thank goodness I had that 44, because I saw him later on. Then we played hide and seek. When I got to about 30 to 40 yards from his lair, he was gone, and I couldn't find him. And I thought, oh, crap, he's fixing to go hunting. Time for me to get out. So I called Cindy, said, hey, he's down here. He's done disappeared, and I'm on my way home. If I don't make it in 2 hours, call the sheriff. And so that's exactly what happened.
Time to go. Okay, this next shot. Now, you this is how you've described it as your smallest prints.
Yep. This right here. No, so that's not my smallest. That's a 7'5" between the two tracks. That's a
okay. Let me back up. Okay, so what are we looking at now? Between the first print and the second, 6 feet.
7'5" right there. There's actually another track where he has stepped out of the woods and stepped onto the berm. And as you can see, it had rained. Well, man, he went in probably a good foot and a half right there. And then I don't know, didn't appear to be running. He could have just been striding. But when you blow this up, you can see the 3 toes. The Fouke monster tends to have 3 toes as a rule. Not everyone does. The movie ruined everybody, just like it did with people they always have red eyes. They don't. But this one has 3 toes. And you can see, and this is consecutive tracks. The tracks are in a line, and that's called tightrope pattern. And that tends to be when you can tell when you have Bigfoot there. They're not side to side, one on one side, one to the other. That's right down a line. You can see there was a truck that had gone there, looked like maybe the day before or something other like this. This is about 6:15 to 6:30 in the morning when we find it. And man, I just couldn't believe it. And we got out and looked, and like I said, you can see toes down there at the bottom. And that's my Z71, and those are the running bars there. You can see the black shoes. Those are my UPS shoes and my brown UPS pants. And I took that day off as well and went down there. So
now the prints that I saw, I laid down in between the prints. Like I said, I'm 6 foot, and I didn't cover that span. And when I stood up and I need to really stress with everybody what I'm trying to say. So I tried to take a step in between these prints. Now I laid down, I know that it's over 6 feet in between. Doesn't sound like much, but then when you go and you try to make that step, 3 feet is a big step, right? I mean, that is a broad step. 4 feet, you're going to fall over. You can't make the step in while you're walking. So when you look at something that is 7 feet, it's got to be ginormous. It just has to be extremely big.
Now, I haven't found a formula yet that will tell you, well, if your tracks are this far and they're this far spread away, that means he's X amount of foot tall. That doesn't mean he's 19 foot tall. It just means he's got a good stride. It could be he has the longer legs. But this is a real print, man. This is one of my treasured pictures right here. You can see toes on the top print up there, but we're sitting there looking at that right there, and he has just left there. The other one out there that's where he stepped onto the berm is still filling up with water. So it's still got water coming up from there. So to have this right here, and then that was a pretty eye-opening right there too. And the guy drove through it again. I called Cindy that morning and said, Cindy, my plaster of Paris, the lid's off. It's done hardened up. Please bring this down here to us. And she was bringing it down. I said, he drove through those prints right there and run it. But hey, you can't take away that memory right there, that right there. And I take pictures of everything, man. I've got, I'm surprised I don't have pictures of my own birth. I don't, but I take pictures when I'm in the woods right there. If I have it and I tell you it's there, I've documented it. And that's what that is right there. My son is right there with me. He'll tell you right now, yes, that's exactly how that happened.
Well, and look at what size shoe do you wear?
On those shoes right there, those are 12s right there.
Those are 12s, and look at the print that's in front of you. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, what is this next shot?
This is actually the world's smallest Bigfoot print right here. I actually casted this. You can see the little skinny heel. You see the 3 toes up there. I actually casted this. And this is the world's smallest Bigfoot cast. It's 3 3/4 inches where the bottom of the heel is to the toes. Now, there's some that people put 5 and 6 inches of plaster on there, but this is actually the smallest track that's ever been filled with plaster and casted. And I have this here at my house right now.
And obviously an infant.
Obviously an infant, yes. This was probably about the second week of March there. So I tend to think, although that's one of mine and Stephen's goals to find out, when they breed, when their gestation period and stuff like that. This is it's not an old baby, but it's been born for a while, a month or two. So it might be that they have their babies, maybe in December or January. But this, I walked up on, you can see where we find baby tracks there all the time, Jimmy. We really have. This is, again, the same place where I told you that my wife will go and they'll walk up to the edge of the woods and she'll take a picture from that dark spot, and then we'll look at it and we'll see. We've had several there And she actually has a picture there that I will send you next time that she took of one of those. And man, it's amazing picture. But this is actually, like I said, you can see it. It's not no fake. Nobody's out there during that time with bare feet with their babies out there. And then when there's rocks that'll cut the snot out of your feet. But there's nobody out there right then. And when we found it, and I had this photograph with a very good photographer, took my buddy who's a skeptic. He goes, I can't explain that. No, you can't explain it. Yeah, you can explain it if you want to believe what I told you. But he's a good guy, and he cast it, and he'll tell you the same thing. That's actually legitimate where we got to.
Absolutely incredible. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to go through some encounters.
Sure.
And I want to go to maybe some extremes.
Okay.
So think about that. One where you got the bejesus scared out of you. Okay. What was the closest? What was the coolest? We're going to go through all of that with you, William, when we come back. We'll have a little fun. And I just love this. This is a perfect night on the air. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Lunsford with Squatch Week, night number 3. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
The Believer is the chilling true story of Dr. John Mack, a renowned Harvard psychiatrist and Pulitzer Prize winner.
This is an outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired.
He risked it all to investigate human encounters with aliens. The Believer, Alien Encounters, Hard Science, and the Passion of John Mack. Written by award-winning former New York Times journalist and author Ralph Blumenthal. Now available in paperback from High Road Books.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
Join us August 5th through the 7th, 2022 at the Drury Conference Center in Cape Girardeau, Missouri for the launch of the Midwest Conference on the Unknown. There are 3 interactive days packed with vendors, exhibitors, and nationally recognized researchers presenting on unknown topics like UFO UAP phenomenon, ghosts and Bigfoot, and Missouri's own Momo, the Missouri Monster. Cape Girardeau has long been one of the most sought-out areas for UFO enthusiasts since the 1941 UFO crash, and now is your chance to be a part of the inaugural conference. Visit cape-events.com or follow us on Facebook at Midwest Conference on the Unknown for more information. Ex-listeners get 30% off by using the promo code XVIP. That's cape-events.com, promo code XVIP.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Lunsford is with us. That's right, Squatch Week. What an amazing, amazing week here on Fade to Black. And now, I get the opportunity here, William, to find out some things. And one of the questions that I have, we have, and I showed them on Monday night, some of the high-res close-ups of Patty's face.
Right.
And I think, genuine and authentic. What have you seen close-up? How can you describe what Bigfoot's face looks like? Is it similar to Patty?
Well, let me say this, folks. Not all Bigfoot look alike. Not all of them look like Patty. Not all of them have cone heads. Some of them have got round heads. Me and Stephen call them Hanks. Some of them have got round heads. But most of the ones here in Arkansas around Texarkana, they tend to look like Patty. They've got the cone heads. They've got the flatter face and stuff like that. When you get into the mountains up there where we go, they actually have a kind of a snout or a muzzle as far as that goes. But the eyes are extremely wide. But I've got some up there that look like Harry, off of Harry and the Hendersons. I've got some there that just they're bald. There's some, like I said, we got one that we call Shrek. So they're not all the same. As a rule, though, they all do tend to have some kind of resemblance as far as that goes. But again, I'll send you pictures and I will show people. Say, oh no, they've all got cone heads, and that's another one of those professional researchers. Oh, they are professional TV guys. Oh, they've all got cone heads. I said the big eyes don't lie. I'll send them to you, and you can see that they don't all have that same look. But the thing is, they're all a common species. And so there's it's really with Patty, she's got the flattened face. My son is a dentist, and one day it was raining, so we recorded one of the shows where she was walking across there right after they had just done some computer enhancements. And so Patty is actually opening her mouth and doing that and turning around. And my son, being a dentist, we're sitting there, and he goes, "Dad," he said, "You know what?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Every time she moves her face or she moves her neck or she opens her mouth, every single muscle that's supposed to move is moving at the same time." And my son was a skeptic. And he goes, "You know what?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "That's a real creature." And so then in that same video, you can look and you can see Patty walking away, and she's got some white stuff on her feet. And that kind of bothered me. So I had a chance to talk to a man named MK Davis. MK is a friend of mine. He's the expert on the Patterson-Gimlin film. I said, "MK, what is the deal?" I said, "Everything I believe. What about the white stuff on her feet?" He goes, "Man," he said, "they're building roadways right there." He said, "That's limestone on her feet." He said, "There is no doubt that that's a real animal." I said, "I didn't think it was, I believe that. I didn't think it was unreal, but that bothered me." He goes, "Well, that's what it was. And that's the reason why." But my son, being a dentist, medical science has proved that Patty is real. I'll send you a picture of I've got a Bigfoot biting my camera. And I've actually got several that bit my camera, but I've got one that's biting my camera. There's 4 teeth right here. Then there's a face. And then there's a canine that comes down just a little bit, just a very little bit past the rest of these teeth. That space is called the, quote, primate space. Almost, and the tooth pattern is almost exactly the same of some kind of monkey. Now, that's going to make some people mad, but folks, that's what my research says, and it's true. I've got a face that I can put side by side. You can't tell the difference between one of the Bigfoots in my buddy's deal where I told y'all that the thing was in the crevice of that rock. You can't tell the difference between it and of a gorilla or a chimpanzee. So there is one group at least that looks like a monkey. There's some that looks like the gorilla face. As I said, down here, nearly everybody I've talked to at Fouke, man, that thing looks just like a gorilla. So it does look like, and it looks like Patty. But the rest of them, they don't all look alike. And you'll see one. Go ahead.
But see, here's the thing. We need to accept something. Look at your face.
Right.
And look at mine.
Right.
We're two different people. We're two different species, man.
Yep.
And if we have to accept that with Bigfoot or different species of dogs or whatever that you want to point at, you're going to see iterations. You're going to see differences, and that's just the way it is. That's nature, William.
That's right. It is, and everybody they want to tend to lump it. And I'm not faulting anybody, man. They've seen what they've seen on TV, and they kind of want to believe what. But I'm telling you what my picture is going to show you. You're going to see. I said you're going to see one that looks just like Harry and the Hendersons. You're going to see one that looks almost like a demon. I mean, and then you're going to see some with the round heads. One of the pictures there that Cindy got of the mama and the baby there. Like I said, the heads are round, almost like Stewie off of the where that show is with the Griffins on there. It's kind of a elongated head. So you're going to see that they have the different deals, the different characteristics and stuff like that. But they're still Bigfoot. As you said, they're still the same. There may be 3 or 4 species within the species, maybe a little more. Duke could tell you more about that than I could. But I'm telling you, I'm finding that. And me and Stephen have actually got that on our cameras. And
now, what about grooming? Yeah, do they take care of themselves?
I got a picture of one there in April this year. She's crossing the field there, and she has a brown coat, and she is beautiful. I mean, if you were, if you were going to go all dolled up to one of these functions, these society functions with the beautiful people, with jewelry and pearls and everything else like that, this would be the coat you would want to have. Her hair is beautiful, and I know it's a her because I saw something moving there in her body. She stopped whenever I slid on the brakes, and we had about an 8-minute staring contest. And I told Daniel, I said, I've got to leave here in a minute. I had somewhere I had to go. I said, I'll just take some still shots. I go in there, and when I do, and then I blow up the picture of this brown one that we've got there, you see her eyes, you see her nose, and then you see the baby right here. You see his eyes and his nose. And so it is. They're beautiful. They're grooming. Most every one I've ever seen. Now, you get some that look like maybe they have mange. That one I told you, it's 10.5 foot that was destroying my camera. He's got like some white spots there on his face. It's not, the beautiful coat, but then I have one down there called Blackie. He's about a 9.5 footer. I had a staring match with him one day. He is beautiful. Had another name, Brownie. Brownie, we actually have a picture of him. He's over 9 foot right there in front of my camera. And his hair is just wonderful. Like I said, it's just like something that you would see in a furrier.
Can you, when we get to the break, can you send me a couple of these shots and we'll look at them in the next segment, the last segment?
Yeah. Can you do that? Can you do that right now? You can show them right now. I can send them to you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send them to you here in the break. It may take me, if we got a little longer break coming up.
3-4 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I think I can get that done, Jimmy.
All right. Well, you know what the chat room's doing right now. What? Let me see. And I want to see him. Now, when you look back, you've had 40 plus encounters,
right?
Is there one that stands out? Is there one like that was the one?
Yeah, there's some that were coolest, and then there's some that were the scariest. The scariest was the night it charged my wife and son and I down there because I had my family with me. That was scary because you don't know how that's going to end. You know who's going to be in that fight, and you know it's going to take care. If you're any kind of husband or father, you know that you're going to give that thing your dying breath. But I had one here March the 25th last year. Me and Stephen were going to meet down there at our area, and so whenever we did, Stephen was late. And this is the second time that's happened to him. And then I just kind of cruising the roads, going along, looking in the ditches and stuff, because you will find tracks in the washes and stuff. And so I'd already had one back that February 9th, 2 years ago, that actually ran across the road in front of me, and Stephen could see it. Well, this day he's late. And so I'm driving really, really slow, looking in the ditches. The wind is blowing just right. So it's blowing the dust away. It's not making a big dust cloud. And I'm just looking right there. Well, I get to where we normally park, and I've got a picture of a mom and a baby. She's got a baby on her left shoulder. She's walking away from us, and she crosses right there all the time. So I pull up on the road, and I go to get out. to make sure that she's not crossing, that there's not another track right there. So I go and look, don't find it. And there's some little, remember they used to call it step farming, where they build places where the dirt is up there elevated to keep it from erosion. So I walk up onto one of these steps, and it's going down a hill, and the grass is probably about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. I look down there walking down the edge of the woods, and there's 2 7-footers that are walking down the edge of the woods. And I'm having a conniption fit. I'm like, oh my gosh, where's Steven? I don't have my phone. My phone's back in my truck because my truck's still running. It's parked on the road. I didn't even shut my door. And I'm sitting there watching these guys. Well, one of them actually takes his hand and actually shoves the other one on the shoulder, and they get back together. They walk down. When Steven finally gets there, he has a big, he's a logger, and he's got that big dually truck. Here he comes. And they hear him. They walk off into the woods. So he and I go check our cameras. I tell Steven, man, I'm just smiling. He goes, no. I said, oh, yeah. No. I said, you missed it. I tell him the story. And, of course, he's cussing his bad luck. We go run our cameras, and whenever we get through, we get down to the very end, and I have a camera that sends me a signal on my phone that when something is in front of my camera. So when we get through setting these cameras at the very end, we're walking up the hill, and I get a signal on my phone that there's something in front of my camera. So anyway, I look at this picture right here, and there's one about 5 foot over there on the ground. You can see his legs, you can see his arms, his face is looking right at the camera. You see the eyes and everything else like that. And he's over there eating a candy bar that we had put over there. And like I said, he's not a giant. He's not within great old bigness. But anyway, this is why I'm not even back at my truck yet. And whenever I get to look at the rest of the pictures, those 2 7-footers are back out there. There's 3 more out there besides that, then 1 more. So there's probably 7 out there in this field before we ever get back to our vehicle. And the cry of game camera photography, you're stuck with where you put it, unless you're down there monitoring. But like I said, I got the pictures. The pictures came in. I've got those pictures too. But those 2 twin 7-footers. And so that's probably the coolest that I've ever had, because I got to, that was a sighting I've always wanted in my whole life, where I wasn't scared. They didn't know I was there. And I'm watching them guys just interact like that. And then I get this one over there, like I said, that's laying there just looking at you, and then 3 of them sitting here on the ground just staring at the camera because it's new over there. Then you got the two 7-footers walking back up towards the car. So that's the coolest. And again, folks, I'm not pulling your leg. Like I said, Duke will tell you I've got them. And I'll send y'all some pictures here in just a minute. The 7-footers are really cool. Like I said, they're twins. There's a log there between them, or a standing log that you can't quite, but you can see the big old butts and big old the fur they have on their back. I'll send you the one that's over there been eating the Snickers bar later. And I've actually got one there, not the same time, but that's actually the coolest. It's not an actual encounter, but I've got a Bigfoot laying in front of my game camera. And again, we've got a candy bar there. We've got it on a stake, and he's reaching around, and they have a black stripe right there to kind of keep the sun out of their eyes. They have a brow ridge like Herman Munster does. This thing, we go up there, and I look, and I see where the grass and the dirt is mounted down. I told Steven, I said, we've got a skookum cast. Anybody that Bigfoot researcher will know what a skookum cast is. So sure enough, we get up there, we pull the camera out, and I've got, excuse me, I have got a Bigfoot that's over 8 foot laying down in front of my camera. And you can see his face. You can see all the hair. You can see the arm is reached around the camera like this right here. And you can see his fist is good. He's got a candy bar in his hand, at least snack-sized candy bar. You can zoom it up there, and you can see the eyeballs from that black band right there. Well, then you can also look, and you can see he's laying on his right side. You can see the left foot stretched way on back there, and you can see the right leg where it's actually bent. That was going to go into the Arkansas Hall of Fame up in Little Rock. I had 5 pictures, including the one I told you about where he was biting it, that I had actually done got everything settled around with my lawyer. Had a friend that was over that right there, and then COVID came and it screwed us out of it. And then this year they were talking about doing it again, and then we got the quote pandemic again, and so now they're not going to get to do it. So if anybody wants to see it, they have to see it on me or on my phone. But those were actually going to go into the Arkansas Museum of History for all my posterity to see. That may be the only thing I ever do that's worth talking about, as far as my grandkids. But yeah.
Now, what does that tell you? That it sounds like they're communal, right? Family units.
Exactly. They're what's called communal, familial, whatever you want to call it. They have their own group there, and then if they adopt another one in, that comes to their troop or whatever like that, they associate together. And they'll stay that way. Sometimes those troops can be really big. Stephen got a good picture this year of that they were coming down the mountain, I think probably going back to their areas after they have migrated some. And there's several walking down the mountain right there, and he's on his truck wherever he logs the stuff, and you can see him over there. And so as they're coming down right there, so they are communal, and their troop range can range from different size and to a lot to just a few, but again, they'll later on, I think the ones with nature, they run their own babies away to keep from interbreeding. That's nature's way to keep them from interbreeding and having the birth defects that come along with that. So, but it is, they really are. They'll, if you hurt one, like a couple of years ago when we had the hoaxer that claimed he killed one in Georgia and had the body in a daggum refrigerator. And my buddy called me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "He's hoaxing." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because another thing, if he killed one of them, he'd never, they claim they got the body out, he wouldn't get 50 feet because those things, they're vengeant animal. Whenever you take something that's theirs, they want it back. And if you hit one of their clan, I think you're going to have a big time problem." And
ask you a dumb question.
Sure.
Do they have a favorite candy bar?
Snickers. Now you can help me get M&M Mars to send us some Snickers like you did with Dukes last night, because man, I'm getting more Bigfoot with Snickers, and that is no lie, man. That they love Payday, but Snickers teams, because it has the peanuts, it has the peanut butter, it has the nougat on the inside and everything else like that. And we've gotten a bunch of them like that. We get some with apples, some with some with some fruit and stuff. But by and large, man, they'll take a Snickers out of it. We don't even open them anymore. We used to open them up and put them up there and put them on, have some nails and stuff like that, and then impale them on a stick. That was just getting to be so silly because by the time we'd gone 10 minutes and come back, they had already taken the Snickers. So we left some. We were in a big hurry and just didn't undo the wrappers. Hey man, there's the wrappers right there, 20 feet away. They've already come back and got them, and the wrappers are on the ground. So they eat the Snickers. They actually peel them, believe it or not, and so that is their favorite candy bar. And
tell me the truth. They leave the Milky Ways.
I think the peanuts, I have gotten a few with Milky Ways whenever they didn't have the Snickers. I shop one of these little convenience stores here. You get 6 for $1. If they didn't have the Snickers, I get the Milky Ways, but they're not near as popular as what they are with the Snickers. They're not as near as popular with this fat boy either, man. That's why I'm the size I am.
That makes sense to me. After Halloween, the last thing that gets eaten, Milky Way. That's the last resort. Everything else will get cleaned out.
Yep.
And then you got the bottom of your Halloween bag, with a half a dozen Milky Ways. And you're like, okay, I guess.
It's made by the same company, but hey, the discerning Sasquatches want to know that's what the cool kids eat. So, that's what they have. And like I said, it's, golly, I don't know. I've got 200 here at my house out there in my freezer right now, waiting to get back in the woods after this heat goes away to go back in the woods and some people fuss at me. Oh, well, you're going to ruin their teeth. No, man, nature has their ways. The things they eat, that's not going to. They have a lot of fruit in their diet. They have a lot of roadkill. Man, if what they eat laying on the road doesn't hurt them, daggum Snickers bar sure ain't going to do them.
Well, that's actually my next question. We can joke about candy, but everybody loves candy. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Watch your dog damage a Snickers bar, right? Okay. That's a fact. But what about the rest of the diet? You did mention apples. You just mentioned fruit. What else do they eat?
By the next show I get, it'll take me a second to find it because I've got over 4,000 pictures on my cell phone. They'll actually eat an alligator. I've actually got a picture of an alligator they killed that had been there for 6 years. He was not there that day. I was joking. My son said, "Oh, that Bigfoot's done went and got that alligator," because there was a trail going through the grass. 3 days later, we find that alligator scutes and his skeleton laying there in the woods right across in the same place where we know that to be his, quote, kitchen, unquote. And I've got a picture of that. Then 2 years ago on the 26th of August, we're down at Mercer Bayou. The lake is down. We get in there, and I'm following a gator track, and all of a sudden, and I'm not even sure, wasn't even aware there was a Bigfoot down there at this time. All of a sudden, I pick up a Bigfoot track. He starts following this gator. The next thing you know, the gator track disappears, and the Bigfoot track gets about 200 pounds heavier. So they'll eat that. They'll eat hogs. We heard one night kill a deer. They'll eat the small animals that we would consider to be prey animals. They would eat those kind of animals like that. And then again, they eat fish. I've brought them in with sardines. I've brought them in with anchovies. Have brought them in with some fish that I've actually caught and put out there just to give them a treat as far as that goes. And the thing is, if you do it, some people say, well, you're setting yourself up. If you ever go down there without the treat, then you're going to be in trouble. Well, maybe so, maybe not.
That was my next question, right? Are you spoiling them?
I think in some of the places, Jimmy, me and my research partners are in these areas enough. Like I said, here, one of them is 18 miles from my house. I'm in the woods 5 days a week, one way or another, whether I'm driving through, whether I'm actually walking around, whether I'm checking for tree structures, whether I'm going down the banks looking for tracks, and then the other one's the same way. So up in there, I truly think they recognize me, and I really do. And I hope I'm right but so far, I mean, and we're 5 and 6 miles off the road, and where there's any kind of houses and things like that. And if they wanted us, they were going to get us, but they do. I think they recognize it. They recognize we're not going to hurt them, and that we're actually a source of amusement to them.
William, can I ask you, where do they live? How do they live? Are they making nests? Are they living in caves, abandoned houses and barns? I don't know. But where do they live? And if there are families moving, they've got to have a spot.
I think it's just like deer. Deer have certain areas where they bed down. Deer have certain areas and trails they take to go to where they have their food. Bigfoot is a lot the same way. I've got pictures of the big grass type igloos that you've seen. I've got pictures of the shelters that are made of just giant logs that are kind of woven together. They also, like you said about caves, I'm sure now we don't have many caves here around. I think there's maybe 2 to 3 within a 70-mile range right here around Texarkana, but I'm sure they would live in caves. I know for a fact they get in these abandoned barns and houses because I've had 3 or 4 people down at Fouke, Arkansas tell me, yeah, I had some living in my barn one winter. And I went to this place called Smith Park. There was a barn back there. Me and Reese found the tracks. We tracked the creature in there. The creature wasn't there, but where he stepped up into this barn, between the 2 partings, he was so heavy he actually broke the board out like that right there. So they do sleep in abandoned barns and abandoned houses. They'll make grass nests just out there, just in the middle of the field and stuff like that. So they're really just an opportunistic creature, and but they're very smart. It would make sense that they would use those structures. There's a bunch of abandoned structures down there on one of my areas down there, as far as for houses, barns, and everything else too. And that's where you'll find again some of the people of Fouke will tell you, yeah, hey, there was one living in my barn, and that's the honest truth, and they'll do that. And so
do they mark their territory, or like road signs?
I tell you, I think they do. Every now and then you can smell some really strong urine. You can smell some really strong ammonia. Now, there's a lady that I have became friends with over the last year, and they have been marking her house. Her husband has been gone. He's been in the hospital. And so whenever she was having to go to the hospital, he wasn't making an appearance. Well, they came up and started marking her house, throwing little rocks and sticks at the soffit underneath her roof. And I told him, when he gets in, said he needs to make an appearance out there because, to reestablish it's not that they can't whoop his butt, but just that they recognize dominance like other things do, So they will mark their territory. They're a very territorial animal. If they want you out of there, thank goodness they don't resort to violence every time. But man, they'll growl at you, they'll holler at you, they'll throw rocks, they'll do whatever. They'll do bluff charges, they'll stomp at you, they'll do whatever it takes to get you out of there if they want you out of there.
What about beef jerky? I just have to ask.
Hey, my son, the night that me and Cindy and him got charged, that night he was out there putting Slim Jims in one of the trees down there. Truly not, and we have actually got him in there with Slim Jims. We left a pork chop one time, and the thing ate the pork chop. We put out pears, and they actually got the pears. And then the one where the pork chop was, he left us about a 5-inch piece of bone that was sharpened on wind, so sharp, Jimmy, you could almost shave yourself with it. I don't know what it meant to him. It was just, I guess, his way of saying thanks. It also had one 2 years ago, gift from one of my research partners, a daggum pulled into cottonmouth water moccasin snake. So, but it's the way just their way of I guess looking at things, and so far that's worked out so good. But as I said, it could be different if you don't bring the food down there, and they're in a hungry day, then you're going to be missing a few fingers and an arm, maybe.
Take teriyaki beef jerky.
I take beef jerky to them down there. When it's they do eat all those things. Go ahead.
What about those X's? Now I've seen hundreds of photographs of this. The skeptics out there, the debunkers, are going to say it's natural. I don't think I've ever walked through the forest and seen, a couple of trees and then another one, in the shape of an X. What do you make of that?
They're Bigfoot related. They can say that if they want to. Well, did you ever see them make them? Or did you ever see some of the people making that you're claiming is? No, it's not. They're actually the way they're put together, Jimmy. They're put together so they don't fall. They withstand some serious winds. They also build teepees as far as that goes. And I mean, there'll be generally a burned limb in there or a burned log and a limb that's suspended off the ground up there. So they do make these structures. The X's, people say, well, it means stay out here, but I think it's just a territorial marker. We can guesstimate all, even though we say it's there, it could mean something different to different Bigfoot. And but the X's are real. I said, next show if we do another show, I'll be sure I send you several, and they're impressive, boy. I mean, I got a Bigfoot down there I call Malcolm X, and that's what he does. His thing is he's going to put X's out there and let you know he's there. And so the X's are real. Like I said, they love the shape of an A. They love to do like parentheses as far as that goes. And then everything you'll find will be a lot of times if they break a limb, they'll twist it. Like if you're riding a motorcycle, they'll take their wrist and just twist it. It's not just totally broken up, but it will be twisted like that. So they're they have their very own ways that they do things. Maybe it means something to them because most of the time the things are not broken that way. But they do put the X's out there. They put some in his area that are huge.
One last quick question. We'll get to the break and you can send me those images and we'll discuss that when we get to overtime. I forgot the question that I was going to ask going into break. William, it was my best question of the night too. And it's
my fault.
It left my head. Jeez. All right. Let's go to break. You get those pictures ready. I'll have it all set up when we come back.
All right.
It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Lunsford. It is night 3 of Sasquatch Week here on Fade to Black. William, you take care of business, and we're going to take care of ours. This is a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl, Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can right now get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at forbiddenknowledge.tv.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. That's right. I've got the pictures. They are here. Okay, so let me do this now while everybody is waiting for me to. I just got the pictures right now, William. Thank you. I've got to move these over, and then I will get them up. You sent me, I think, 3.
Some more coming. We had a big storm before we had this. Before we did the show, we actually lost our power. I was afraid we weren't going to make it, so the internet's running just a little bit slow. But she's sending some more right now on here. So he has. Go ahead and put up what you got, Jimmy, and then we can comment on the others if you'd like. But they're all interesting pictures.
Okay, let me see here. I've got to name each one of these. So let's go here, and boom, done. And oh, come on, man. Let's go here. And yes, that's saved correctly. So I'm moving along, everybody. You just, I'm just not as quick and as spry as I used to be. And but okay. And Cindy, go ahead when you're ready. You just fire them off. Okay. So let me do this. Everybody's like, okay, we got to see these. We got to see what's going on.
And that's okay. People have been saying, well, why aren't there any pictures? Me and Stephen Hill have had pictures for 5 years. Man, I've got pictures truly of body parts. Some of these were not encounters, but they were pictures that I had off my game. Truly of over 91 animals. And that's no lie. You can ask Duke. Duke will tell you I'm telling the truth. But I've got pictures of one throwing my camera. I've got pictures of his thumb. I've got pictures of his teeth. I mean, the whole banana. Go ahead with what you got, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I just wanted to include that there are pictures out there and they're all legitimate.
Yeah. Everybody just stay with me. I need to do a little quick organizing here. And okay. So, boom, we are burning with gasoline. Okay. So here comes this first image, and it is right here.
Okay.
What are we looking at here?
That's a little pixelated there. That's one we just had to throw up as it came off. This picture is actually burned onto my SD card. I had to take it to Dallas to a data recovery center. But on the right-hand side of this picture, you will see a Bigfoot walking in front of my camera. He's over 9 foot tall, and we call him Brownie. And like I said, that right there we didn't get to because of it's the one that my wife has on her phone. I've got some that are not as pixelated, but we got that. And like I said, that picture is burned. I was so excited when I saw it. I'm like, oh, look, Cindy, what I got. I went to download it from the thumbnail, and it won't. I went to Dallas, Texas, and it was almost $200 an hour for a minimum of 5 hours to take this picture up there. And those guys, but you can see how wide the back and the shoulders. I will send you another one next time we're on here that's clear, that doesn't have that kind of pixelation. But that's actually the Bigfoot right there. You can see his head bent over. He's walking in front of my camera. Like his name's Brown. He's over 9 foot tall. He's about 900 pounds.
And this next image here.
Okay, that's the Gugway. That's the one that was going to eat me that day. I'm on my way home from Keith Crabtree's camp out there. And like I said, you can see the nose, you can see the eyes, the face, and he's hiding behind that log. You can see the octopus type roots that he's got right there. And you see the eyes, and that's him sitting right there behind that log, fixing to give me a bad day until I happen to see him. But like I said, we just had to do this real quick because the internet wasn't working as quick as what we wanted. But that's the one that's called a Gugway. And like I said, that's the vicious kind, the snouted kind of Bigfoot. They actually, as a rule, 3-toed tracks. They whistle to communicate, and they have a really bad attitude. But I got him at 40. That's about 40 yards right there at the very most.
He looks pretty big.
He is. He's very big. That's with my cell phone, and I have my cell phone out. I guarantee he'll weigh 800 pounds more, and he was running on all fours coming across the blasted part of that bottomland there. So,
okay. And what is this?
Okay, this is Mama. She's got a baby on her left shoulder. They had actually come down and bulldozed our area. And so whenever they did, this is the one I told you that I had to park because she walked through there. Well, when we finally went back and reset our cameras, we had to put them backwards. So she's going the other way this time, or we would have had her face. But that on the left-hand side is a little cone-headed baby. You can see her arm. She's huge. She may even be pregnant again, or she may have another baby that's holding on to her leg. But she's got her head bent over because she's walking through some brush tops there. She's walking across actually some sticks that are made there to get to where her area is. This is about 6:20 or 6:30 in the morning. And but again, that's what they had done. We would already have her on a video had they not come down and actually bulldozed our area. But that's a mama with a little baby Bigfoot there on her left shoulder.
So this is baby Bigfoot here, and this is a leg, and this is the space between the leg. This is the other leg.
Yep. And I truly think there's probably another baby holding on to her leg. You know how kids do when you see mamas in the store, they hold on mama's leg while she's pushing the buggy. I think there's probably another baby right there, but it was too with that much light, it was too hard to see her. He had the wrong position, but you can see clearly that's a little conehead joker. And that's what that is. That's one of the best pictures that we've got right there, and feel very fortunate to have it, you know.
Right. These are incredible. Okay, so
she's got you some more there too, Jimmy, if you can find it.
All right, let me see what she's got here. She sent me a link. Okay, hold on for oh, these are crazy. Okay, all right, hold on a minute here. Okay, let me see how. I don't know how I can download these. Okay, I am going to do. Let me see. Hold on for a second. If I do this, I could probably show all of them at the same time. Okay,
that's fine. I'll give them a running commentary if you'd like. Okay. Cindy said she's going to send them individually here now.
Well, by that time we may be at the end of the show. Let me go
for another 4 hours there, buddy. You know me, like Duke says, he talks so fast, you're going to get 4 hours worth of Bigfoot. Okay, that's up on your deal. Now, please let me comment if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the one there, you see the teeth, you see the nose, You see the block teeth, the 4 block teeth. You see the space. You see the canine that's barely even sticking down past the other teeth. That's Bigfoot biting my camera. That is the very same tooth pattern as any of the apes that we have right there, the very same way. And again, that's the primate space. And I've got a couple more where he's actually biting my camera. That's one of the best right there. But that's actually his nose right there. He's trying to get that daggum camera in his mouth, and he's actually got his nose disfigured that way. Next to that is the baby that my wife got right there underneath the mama Bigfoot. There's his twin brothers right next to him, but that's a little bit better picture. You can actually see a 3-fingered hand right there off that baby, that little color picture right there, and you see the eyes, and you can see the little pug nose that he's got right there. Again,
wow.
His twin is right next to him. The next is going to be the close-up of a Bigfoot face laying in front of my camera, the one kind of in the middle right there. You see you see the brow ridge there. It's kind of a silvery color. You see the underneath there, the black. That's the black band I told you that where his eyes, because they don't really like light, or they used to see. You can blow that up later on, Jimmy. You can see the eyes from sticking out there. But then in front, you'll see the right hand, and that hand is balled up around the Snickers bar. And you can see the individual fingers of him right there, and that he's laying right there. This is that skookum cast I told you. To the right of that is that actual full Bigfoot laying on the ground right there from that same deal. I had to rebuild where that brush was because they bulldozed that too. We weren't getting near the activity that we wanted, and I told my research partner, Stephen, I said, I'm fixing to rebuild that. I did, and we get this within probably 2 to 3 days, and you can see the left foot way on back there. And you see the right leg there that he's laying on. So that's Bigfoot actually laying in front of my camera, and he's actually getting the Snickers bar. And it's with the old camera. People say, "Oh, buy you a new camera." Man, I bought one of the new cameras, and it had such a range out there they wouldn't come in close enough. I couldn't get a good picture, so I went back to the old $29.95 camera there from Walmart, man, and like I said, to get the close-ups like that. So that was good. That one was actually going to go. That one and the teeth and the baby were actually going to go into the state museum here in Arkansas as well. But those are legitimate pictures, folks. Like I said, that's not any kind of thing that's made up or anything else. So you can see all the hair that booger's got on his forehead, man. And it's really an amazing thing. I had heard Duke got one. I think you showed it there maybe last night, of one that's laying behind the log, got his head popped over. He sent me a message last year when he got that one down there from Montana. He goes, guess what I got? I've got a Bigfoot right there that's got his head popped up over the log. That's a common Bigfoot thing.
Yeah. Have you, William, I remember now what I was going to ask you earlier.
Okay.
Have you had a UFO sighting and a Bigfoot sighting at the same time?
Not at the same time, I haven't, Jimmy. So far, everything I've seen hasn't gone into that realm. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying so far it hasn't happened to me. Now, I used to fish Lake Fouke every Friday night in Texas. That's the bass capital of the world, biggest bass, 13, 14, 15 pounds, doesn't even blink an eye. But I would see orange lights there on top of the lake, and I would fish all night long. I'd get off Friday night, and then I'd leave Saturday morning about 10 o'clock. But there would be orange lights hovering over the lake, and all of a sudden, man, they're just gone. And I thought somebody was hoaxing me, maybe with a projector or something other like that. I never got close enough to where I could see them. Now, I did have a Bigfoot encounter one night on Lake Fork. The wind got real bad. I went up into a pocket, and he was in that pocket right there and started throwing rocks and sticks. I went back into the wind because I thought it's better to try to deal with the wind than with a Bigfoot that was angry with me for being in his area. So that's the only time. But that night, I did not see any of the orange lights that I would see out there. But then Lake Fork is probably 90 miles from Dallas, from DFW. Who knows what kind of experiments the daggum government was doing? That's what I was thinking. But it could have been just as legitimate. I just can't say that for sure. I can't give you an educated opinion or an educated fact without speculating. I don't want to do that yet. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to apologize. Say, yeah, man, that was a UFO. But it may happen, like I said, but it just hasn't happened to me. I believe in them. There's some strange things out there, man, that we just don't know about.
Now, what about the reports of portals opening up and Bigfoot stepping out?
My friend Keith Crabtree, Keith is the guy who played the monster in the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek. I haven't experienced any portals either, but Keith has got a picture there that's pretty doggone compelling when you look at it. And it looks to be, if there is one, this is it. And I know Keith Crabtree, he is my brother from another mother. He will not lie to me, and I won't lie to him. And that's exactly, he said, look at this. He said, man, this has got to be a portal. And he showed me that picture right there. And it's very compelling that if there is one, that's what it is. And he's got a picture of it. And So I think that's one of those deals that if it starts opening up to me, like I said, then that's going to open a whole nother deal to my Bigfoot research.
Yeah, exactly. And now, what do you, when you hear people like me, where I go woo,
right.
I'm okay with the woo. I need the science to help me prove the woo, but I'm okay with having an open mind. But it seems to me that we may be talking about two different versions of Bigfoot. One that is just a species that hasn't been officially discovered yet, and we're that happens all the time.
All right.
And then interdimensional.
And that's true, Jimmy, because we get some pictures out there where I think we're on like one place there we have about a 14,000 acre wildlife preserve, and we get some pictures out there sometimes that as soon as you open it up, it scares you. These are not Bigfoot that we're getting. These are some kind of animals that, buddy, I just don't want to know what they are. And I mean, truly, it's to the point that Stephen and I don't even go down there by ourselves very much anymore because of this. And it could be, again, like you said, the portals. I just haven't experienced it yet. So to say yay or nay, I said, I'm leaving it open as an option because, like I said, 30 seconds before I saw my first Bigfoot did not exist. It only existed in the minds. There's a lot of moonshiners down there around Fouke. There's a lot around here in Arkansas. It exists in the minds of moonshiners. Not no more, buddy, because it walked right out of the pages of, of fiction and onto the pages of fact that day for me. And so therefore I believe that, the things that are possible, I'm not going to deny anything that anybody says because I just wasn't there and just don't know.
Now, I want you to take this the wrong way.
Okay.
Have you had any communication, telepathy, anything that has reached out to you from Bigfoot?
Only what we call the vibing when you're in their area. That, like I said, whenever they hit you with and we call it zapping. I've had them blow out my batteries on my camera. I actually had them blow out 3 lithium batteries in the same day on one of my UPS electronic clipboards down there. So I have had that happen. My research partner Stephen actually got zapped. He was in the hospital fixing to die. They had the $10,000 adrenaline shot laying on his chest, fixing to shoot him to bring him back alive. And so that's the only thing I've had. I've had them, like I said, where they're just zapping me so bad down my back, it's actually starting to sting. And so I've had that right there. But that's all that I haven't had the mind speak. It may be that they're that much smarter than I am. I mean, I don't mind admitting that right there. But I'm having enough fun with the experiences that I'm getting right now that that I'm enjoying that. And if they do, like I said, I'll be the first one to say it. But it's the zapping is just the only thing, and it is a real phenomenon. Man, the government's used infrasound for years. They use it to locate artillery. Elephants use it. And the funny thing is, elephants use their infrasound through their feet. Now, what other animal besides Bigfoot would use the infrasound for their feet with the giant size feet they have? It only makes good sense.
And, you've talked to Duke about this, and I've had many guests on the show that have talked about communication and a telepathic aspect to this.
Right.
You've never had that sense that Bigfoot was trying to reach out to you?
Just by seeing whenever they come in and try to come in close, like what I was saying with my wife, and then I'll sit there, I have some there that appear to be, when you find them, they'll be within 30 to 40 yards the same place, and they'll be watching you, but they don't just come out, and do a song and dance or anything. You really have to look for them. But just so far I haven't. But then, like I said, that may be on my own limitations as far as that goes, I'm not. There's some people here that I respect like crazy that are Bigfoot researchers. They tell me, man, if they tell me the sky is falling, man, I'm gonna be like Chicken Little. I'm gonna look for a hard hat,
Well, and this is the thing. I've talked to many people,
right,
that are Bigfoot whisperers, right, that are able to talk and speak telepathically, and then you have the other part, Duke, when he talks about it, was Glag, right?
Right.
That like learned a few words.
Yeah. And there, y'all get on the internet when you get through and look, there's an orangutan named Bonnie. Bonnie actually learned to whistle. You can look up Bonnie the whistling orangutan. Apes can't whistle. That's not in their deal. But you look up Bonnie the whistling orangutan and you'll see Bonnie whistling. Look at Coco, the chimpanzee that used to be alive. They taught that thing to sign language.
Mm-hmm.
how, who would have thought that was stupid and ridiculous before they did it? And look how much she learned. I think it's 221 words and stuff like that. My dogs know more English words than I know dog words as far as that goes. So the animals are really smart. So so that can be within the realm of possibility. And I don't deny it, and I don't doubt it. Just like I said, I just have to say that I haven't experienced it yet.
A couple of quick questions before we say goodnight. And by the way, fantastic show, fantastic conversation. Again, big shout out to Duke Sullivan for putting all of this together. What about the government? If Bigfoot is what it is, then they know all about it, right? Why do they not want this knowledge out?
Well, you look at it. You look at, well, number one, what it's going to do to some of the local economies of some of these places. You look at if you remember the Tellico Dam years ago there in Tennessee, they discovered a snail darter. They'd already spent several $1 million building this dam. Then they had to hold it back up. It's going to do the same thing with the timber industry. There's a protocol they have when they discover an unknown species that they have to follow. All of a sudden, everything that's, quote, progress, unquote, is shut down. So it's going to have an impact on the economies. It upsets when I tell people Bigfoot is real, and I'm telling people right now, this is not a show where I'm going to say, well, if Bigfoot exists, Bigfoot is real, but they are real. And whenever they classify those things, Bigfoot is real, then they're going to have to follow the same protocol as far as for the way they classify the lands. You can't cut timber, you can't cut trees, some people can't even cut their own yards because of the way that thing. So it's going to impact that, and so I think that's it. And I know a lady who had been affiliated. She's actually seen one whose head was cut off. It was during the Hurricane Isaac in Louisiana. The body came back through with one of her sorority sisters in a refrigerated trailer, and it was going to, I think she said maybe Washington, D.C. The guy would not let him take a picture, but she actually got to see it. And she's as truthful as the day is long. The government knows. I've actually got a couple of game wardens here that will asked them not too long ago. They said, "Let me see your fishing license." I said, "Not till you tell me where you get all your Bigfoot sightings at."
Right. Good call.
And so and we had a big laugh. He goes, "So you're a monkey hunter?" I said, "No, I'm a monkey finder." And I showed him some pictures. He goes, "I'm gonna have to change the way I look at things." I said, "Yeah, you are." So now, where do you find your Bigfoot at? And he told me, truly, he said they ran into some people just a couple of nights before that right there. So on that right there, we're not giving. They're not giving us the benefit of a doubt, and they want the benefit of a doubt. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But they've got them. Back when I was a kid, 1980, Mount St. Helens, that morning, the show comes. They're showing the animals running down. There's one guy that's reporting there were Bigfoot walking down that are burned. More news at the 6 o'clock. Man, I can't wait to get home. 6 o'clock, you ain't got another word about it. They said Bigfoot were being burned and carried off in nets with helicopters actually being treated by paramedics. I don't doubt that at all. Them things are smart, man. They the first one I saw there that was eating those leaves there, as I was telling you about, one of these researchers here, probably the only thing he's ever said that makes any sense to me. He said, "Do you reckon they were trying to treat themselves because they were sick, like a dog does eating grass?" Boy, that was a good call. Now the rest of the time, whenever he accused me of hoaxing one of those pictures, we didn't get along real well. And as far as that goes, and so, but other than that, the thought that he had right there was a good thought. Could they have been doing that? So they're very smart. They have ways. And this very thing he was eating, I had several nurseries on my UPS route. I went and took those leaves, and I went to the place where it was the closest I could get. Took those leaves. I said, "Yeah, man, they use those to treat urinary tract infections. They use them to treat bowel infections. They treat them for muscle spasms. They treat them for women's menstrual problems." I'm like, golly, and this thing is over there eating from that daggum tree. It's almost like it's a member of the honeysuckle family, and it's got little berries. It's called a rusty black haw viburnum. It's what it was called, and it took me a while to find that out. But that's what the guy asked me, and I thought, man, that's a really intelligent question. And so again, it made a whole lot of sense to me. So they're really, really smart. I'm sure they treat themselves like that. I talked to one guy last year, saw two of them in a fight down there at Mercer Bio. He said, "Man, it's the worst fight he's ever seen in his life." Man, I would have loved to have seen it, except for when they got through. If they decided they want to come beat up a slightly balding, white-haired UPS man, I'd have took a damn view on that stuff. But
and here's the thing, especially this last couple of years, it's been a horrible fire season,
right?
And we deal with it out here on the West Coast, but now it's all across the country the last couple of years. And when you see when you see a mama deer and she's got a couple of baby deer with them, and you can't help but think, what do they do when the fire's coming? How many of these animals are trapped, stuck, running? It's got to be the same for Bigfoot, right?
Yep. I watched a show the other night where some firefighters got in there and got caught. They all burned to death. The same way with the deer and the Bigfoot. Sometimes nature's cruel, man. As far as that goes. So they will have the deer burn up, the Bigfoot will burn up, but Mount St. Helens, you're not going to get away from that daggum, volcano and that ash and that lava. We were in Hawaii when one of them started, not really exploding a whole lot, but where the lava was starting to come up there. Man, it was incredible. You get close to it and it was it felt like several hundred degrees. And then when you back off, you can feel it. So it's going to, sadly, it's going to burn those animals up. So that was one of those things. Like I said, I actually watched that show that morning. I was so excited because I'd had the Bigfoot sighting in 1977. I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to get to see some pictures, see these things. And like I said, they had totally scrubbed the whole daggone deal. And back then, when I tried to find out more about it, there wasn't anything. Thank goodness for some of these newer shows. Even though some of them are set up to be entertainment, they're not an ounce of truth to what they're telling you. But still, it's set up there to bring it to the public awareness. And these things are real. That's what I tell people. This is not an if show, folks. They are real. And the pictures will show you. When I have my next show and show you, you'll see that I've got a bunch of pictures of Bigfoot. My research partner, he's one of the best. He's the best research partner nobody has ever heard of. But he's a great researcher. And I'm telling you, he's an honest guy. He never told a lie in his life. And he's gotten a lot of these pictures himself. And we have them there. It's just that people don't want to believe it. And sometimes the pixelation, your worst enemy is light and pixelation. When I see Bigfoot track going by my camera, man, I'm so stoked. Go up there and all of a sudden, it's screwed, or else he'll vibe it. He'll burn the daggum camera like that. And like the one did where he burned, and then I don't have anything. Man, I'm disappointed as all get out. But I do this to show people these things are real. You can get their pictures. You can actually have interactions with them, not just super close. They're not going to go out and sing Kumbaya with you, but they'll actually, they'll be right around their close. And so we're very fortunate. They call this Monster Central. I live here in the Arklatex, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And so we have creatures in all four of those states. Oklahoma's a hotbed, man. I saw one in Oklahoma 2019 walk up and put his hand on my truck as he walked around the front looking at my food. I'm like, I'm fixing to hear my windshield bust. And so thank goodness he didn't. But then he walked in front. There were two guys in a pup tent asleep. And so as soon as he cleared, I put my spotlight up while he took off running beside the tent. Well, whenever I lean up, my buddy turns on his recorder. 5 minutes later, this Bigfoot comes back with two rocks in his hand. Whack! Right outside our tent. Man, scared us both to death. And almost like it was having the last laugh, and then it goes across the river and whoop, whoop. So that was really cool. That's one of the cooler sightings I've had. And I've got pictures of those handprints on my window too. And they were actually verified by a policeman. Those are not people handprints, So
William, thank you so much. Give my best to Cindy,
thank you.
Your co-producer. She's absolutely amazing.
She's pretty sharp.
Enjoy the rest of your night. I can't wait to get you back on the show. Just a perfect evening, my man. I really enjoyed it.
Folks, I appreciate you, Jimmy, for sure, for having me on here. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I appreciate again everybody for listening. Like I said, don't take your presence lightly. I've told you everything that is the truth. These creatures are real, and I've really enjoyed doing this, man. You conduct a good interview, buddy. I mean, you got to keep me thinking. The only thing is, like my buddy says, he goes, one reason I chose you as a research partner, nobody can lie that fast. Well, that's the truth, man. So I'm telling you the truth.
William Lunsford. Everybody, I put the link up for William's Facebook page, and you can go over and say hello and go and follow and like and get all of that done. William, enjoy the rest of your night. My best to Cindy. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Again, thank you to everybody for being here. Thanks to Duke for bringing this up. Let's do it next month again, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do Squatch Week. Thank you so much, William. And I've got to get out of here before the network cuts me off. William, that was a perfect show. And tomorrow night, everybody, is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitola, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2022 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll see everybody tomorrow night for Fader Night. Until then, I want you to be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.